What is up, everybody? Welcome here to Pop Culture Philosophers. Welcome to PCP Movie Night. In fact, welcome to the kickoff of the PCP side of March Madness. March Madness is a fantastic lineup of psychological thriller and horror films between me and Dylan's Horror Show. It's our second annual March Madness for 2022. We got a great lineup, and tonight we're talking about Manhunter, the movie written and directed by Michael Manhunter Mann. Anyway, really excited to unpack this one, to talk about it. It's got a lot to say visually. It's got a lot to say thematically, and you cannot watch this movie. I dare anybody to watch this movie and not notice the music. You know what I'm saying? But joining us for March Madness, I believe a first on PCP March Madness. In fact, a first March Madness debut, because he wasn't on the entity on Saturday night. It's Vernos.
Yo, what up? Happy to be here. I'm stoked for this, man. Super stoked.
Man, I'm super excited to have you here joining us for March Madness for this movie, which was your first time watching it.
First time, or watched it 3 times in the past couple weeks.
Bro.
Yeah, I love the crap out of it, so I can't wait to get into it.
Yeah, we're going to get into it. We're going to get into it with Jelani. Do you see?
I see,
yeah. Bro. I see it.
Good to see it, man. Man, it's good to be here too, man. Verna, welcome. And man, I can't wait to talk about this movie either. This will be my third time watching it. I think I've seen it like 2 other times, and like it's Michael Mann in like his early stages. It's not Heat, but this movie is like, I fucks with it, man. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Speaking of cool, it's Manny. What's up, my man?
Station, y'all. Oh, I haven't seen this movie in like forever, so I quick watched it before the show. So I'm super stoked to talk about it.
Watched it at double speed.
At least it's fresh in the mind, right?
It is.
Yeah. Speaking of fresh in the mind, last week we had our big superathon, whatever you want to call it, and we were joined by Joe Corallo. So here's Joe.
It's true. Hello. This is the first time I'm doing one of these with you guys where I had not seen the movie before doing this.
Wow.
This has been on my list for so long, but as many movie buffs know, it is impossible to see everything. And then you end up going in different directions. You come back, you think you're going to see it, and then something else is going on, and you're like, I better watch all these before this comes out. And it just never happened. And I saw this, and I was like, this is my excuse to finally watch this movie.
Man, I'm super eager to get your thoughts then. Sure. And rounding out the panel tonight, we got Brooks, the Mario Master Mutant of Magnetism Machine and Mushroom King. Brooks, how you doing, my man?
What's up? Good. Very good.
Is this your first time watching it as well?
It is indeed. Yes. I'd never seen this movie before.
So half of us have seen it. Half of us, it's the first time. That's really cool.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see what people think. So the movie came out in 1986. Michael Mann. I think he had already done The Keep. I think he had already done Thief, I think is the name of that movie. I never saw Thief. But Michael Mann's going to go on to be the guy who does Miami Vice. He's going to he may even be doing Miami Vice at this point. Like, I don't remember when Miami Vice actually happened, but this is 86. He does Heat. He does Collateral. He does The Insider, one of my personal favorites, Last of the Mohicans. He's a pretty big deal director. One of my favorite directors, especially from a visual standpoint. And I love the way he utilizes music in his film. So we'll get into all of that. But based on the Thomas Harris novel, Red Dragon, which they did eventually readapt. It's not like they remade Manhunter. They just readapted the book. But I didn't like that movie. I don't like Hannibal. I love Silence of the Lambs. But I used to always say Manhunter is better than Silence of the Lambs. And Brian Cox as Hannibal Lecter is better than Anthony Hopkins. Now, I used to say that. I used to say that because I thought I was a cinematic edgelord, I guess. I don't fucking know, right? But this is the first time I've watched the film in a while. And when I watched it, my initial experience was this movie is, first of all, cheesier than I remember. It's got more laugh out loud moments that aren't like worked for. Like, not that they're not worked for, but they're not asked for. Like, they're not meant to be funny moments, right? but it is still to me a mesmerizing, ultra captivating film. I love it. I watched it days ago and it has settled and it still is just resonating within. And I'm thinking about it and I'm thinking about the vibe and the feel. I love the way this movie looks. I love the tone of this movie. It's got this deliberate pace that's just going along procedurally, but it's also doing something visually amazing where it's kind of like exteriorizing the thematic elements that they're talking about inside of the characters. And yeah, I ripped that off of a bunch of videos and essays that I've read and watched over the last month or whatever. But, you know, seriously, I love this film. So I'm really excited to see what you guys think. Overall, Verno, what'd you think about the film? This was your first time, so let's check it out.
Like I said, I loved it, man. It's such a, I was gonna say it's a fun movie, but it's not really a fun movie, but it's a very enjoyable watch. And I had heard you say that you liked it better. Well, he's gone now, but I had heard Robbie say that he had liked it. This is a better movie than Silence of the Lambs. So, and I like that movie quite a bit. So I watched this and I was like, damn, this is really good. Then I watched Silence of the Lambs. I'm like, no, that's way better. And then I watched this again. I'm like, well, shit, no, it might be just as good, if not better. But super, super well done movie. As you said, the music is a huge, huge part of it. And for a movie to be this beautiful and to be like a mystery, you know what I mean? You don't necessarily think of like a murder mystery like this as something that's going to be this visually stimulating, but it was fire. Absolute fire movie. So big fan of it. It's one that like I said, I watched it 3 times in the past couple weeks and I bought it. So I know I'm going to be watching this again. This is in the rotation. It's up there. So highly enjoyable.
What version did you buy? Did you buy it on Blu-ray? Did you buy it digitally?
I bought it digitally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I only have it on like it's like a Blu-ray collection of this film and Silence of the Lambs and Hannibal. And it's just like a cheapo Blu-ray, but there's a Scream Factory out there that went out of print. It's kind of pricey now. And I really wish I could have that because it's a little bit restored. Speaking of restored, Jelani, what do you think about this film, brother?
Well, I still like it. It's been a long time since I've seen it. And I've watched it 3 separate times. And one was to like get ready for the Red Dragon, which I kind of liked, but it's just a retelling, and I like Hannibal Lecter being Anthony Hopkins. But Manhunter is still gorgeous. It's a great looking film. The colors alone tell a story of the scene that they're in, and it's so much to look at. And Brian Cox he's okay as Hannibal Lecter. I like that it's not implied that he's a cannibal. It's just he's done horrible things and Will Graham caught him. So it's kind of, you get that vibe that, this guy's done bad things and he messed up Will Graham really bad to where he had to like go to a mental institution to feel better. So it's just placing your mind in the mind of a killer to catch that killer is such a cool concept.
Yeah.
And I never thought that, I thought it was going to be boring as crap again because like I said, I watched it a long time ago and I just had vague memories of it. But I just remember I was like, I like Silence of the Lambs better. But I do still like Silence of the Lambs better, but this is a great film. Yeah. Manhunter is I like the personal relationship Will Graham has with his family. I like the subtle aspects of each character. Every character has something to do. And like Dennis Farina, he always plays a good role. I like him. I don't know what it is about that guy, but he's great in Fight Club too. So
he's great in Snatch.
He's great in Snatch. Oh, not Fight Club, Snatch. And I love that. I get those two mixed up because they're so gritty. But just a fantastic film.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
One of Michael Mann's. Yeah, it's early. Like I said, it's no heat. I love me some heat. Yeah. But this is pretty decent Michael Mann film.
Yeah, we're definitely going to dedicate an entire episode of the podcast one time to Michael Mann. I'm really excited to do the Mann cast. And that sounds way different than what it will actually turn out to be. But it's inevitable to compare it to Silence of the Lambs for a lot of people. But honestly, even though they're both kind of like, movies, I think they're very different films.
They're very different.
Like so very different.
It's just, if you're going to do a trilogy thing, I would go Silence of the Lambs, Manhunter, and then Hannibal at the very, very bottom, and then Red
No,
Dragon.
you really just need to watch Manhunter in silence. You can screw the rest of them. But anyway,
Yeah.
Manny, what do you think about this film overall?
I love this film, but I love all things Hannibal. I'm a big fan of the television show.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just I love it. I mean, the Red Dragon and Hannibal are boring as shit, but I'll still watch them every time they're on. Like I still enjoy them for what they are. This film is weird to me in the Michael Mann like lexicon of films. Like it feels like Michael Mann. There's still like a lot of Michael Mann isms, but it's still like it's not quite as like clinically precise as some of his other films, and I like that, especially the ending of this film. So I don't know. I'm a big fan anyway. So yeah, I like this movie. Brian Cox is not Anthony Hopkins, not by an inch or a mile, but he's still a pretty good Hannibal.
I think where the comparison happens is because I guess this movie maybe was it a moderate success or something? No, it failed at the box office. It picked up its audience later on. So most of the people I think what happens is people find out that there's another Hannibal Lecter film before Silence of the Lambs, and they're like, "Ooh, what's this, Manhunter?" And they're expecting a Lecter film. It's not a Hannibal film at all.
He's barely in it.
Barely in it. But we'll get to the characters later on. But Joe, I want to know, like, I'm really excited. This was your first time watching this film for PCP Movie Night, March Madness. What'd you think?
Yeah, having just seen it once and seeing Silence of the Lambs a few times, I saw Hannibal once. I saw Hannibal in theaters, and I was like, "Forget all of this. This is awful." But yeah, but honestly, I'd have to see Manhunter a few more times. I saw it once in full, and then I went back, watched a lot of clips, watched a lot of interviews, things like that. I don't know. I don't think Anthony Hopkins is that good in those movies. He's very campy. It's a weird. He plays it so over the top in those movies, like especially after Silence of the Lambs. Like Hannibal, it's like a joke. I mean, it's difficult to watch it, but I like that Brian Cox plays it straight, and he plays it like and it works better for me when we don't know everything he did. I feel like less is more with Hannibal. So when you get Anthony Hopkins in the role and all that stuff, it's like we know way too much about this character. We see way too much of what he can do. And with the inevitable comparisons with Silence of the Lambs, I feel like both of those movies never dip below a certain point, but Silence of the Lambs has a few points that hit higher, if that makes sense. Like nothing, like as much as I really enjoyed this movie, nothing comes close to Clarice in the basement with Buffalo Bill with the night vision goggles on.
Yeah, that's some creepy crap. I agree.
Like there's a few other instances throughout there, and as much as I'm poking and prodding Anthony Hopkins for a lot of that comes from Hannibal. In Silence of the Lambs, he does a lot of cool, interesting things. He has moments in there, like when he's taking the role seriously, especially in Silence of the Lambs, it gets under your skin. Whereas Brian Cox, it hits different. It's a different kind of feeling. But you also don't have Roger Corman in this movie, so you also lose some points for that. But overall, like I like the aesthetic in this movie a lot. I love the soundtrack. I love the feel and tone of the movie. Overall, I think it's very good. It's almost as good at times as Silence of the Lambs. It's better than Hannibal.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah.
Is it better than Red Dragon? Because I say assuredly, like 100%.
Oh yeah. Because
that's another one where that's another one where Hopkins is going like ham. He's going ham with it. They're playing the roll up too much, and I don't know. And I really like this movie like a lot. There's not many movies like it, and sometimes we're so used to things like Lethal Weapon, and we're so used to the 90s psychological thriller, of which the most recent Batman movie is heavily inspired by. But like sometimes we forget that Manhunter's like almost like a prototype of a lot of these films, you know, like how it does the procedural type stuff, but at the same time is trying to do something thematically interesting, but doing that visually and music and stuff. So I'm really, really pumped to hear that you liked it, Joe.
Yeah, well, I'm glad I liked it too.
All right. Well, it was also Brooks's first time watching this film. So Brooks, I want to know, what'd you think about it? Was it good?
Yeah, I like this movie pretty good. I mean, I'm not usually too much of a fan of the kind of Law and Order style movies, you know, that are like, you know, about the feds who like hunt down serial killers and stuff like that. Which, I mean, there are a few that are good. You know, I remember watching Silence of the Lambs back in the day and thinking it was pretty good, but not like, you know, it's not really, you know, the kind of movie I generally enjoy as much. But this movie was actually really entertaining, and I think a lot of it had to do with, like, you know, the performances were very good. I liked Brian Cox's Hannibal a lot too, because like, you know, he does get very little screen time in this movie. But the time he does get, like, you know, I think he hits it just right.
Yeah.
And like this is a very visually interesting movie too. And you know, the music works well with it. You know, it's a very well constructed movie, you know.
Yes.
And it is, I think it's a pretty interesting concept, I think. So yeah, that was pretty good, man.
Yeah, it's an interesting concept. Miami Vice was 84 to 89, so it was already in production, by the way. Anyway, I agree with you, man. It's cool to see a procedural done this kind of way, visually stunning as well. And that's something that I see in every single one of Michael Mann's films. Like, there was a point after Heat, and in between Heat and Collateral, people thought Michael Mann films were boring, right? And to me, like, The Insider was brilliant. Like the one about the tobacco industry whistleblower with Russell Crowe and Al Pacino. I love that movie. And the thing that I love the most about Michael Mann from the 90s on is he uses a lot of Moby. And you can ask Brooks and Jelani back in the 2000s when I was wanting to be a filmmaker and I was writing scripts and I would come up with soundtracks for my ideas. A lot of Moby. A lot of Moby. But it's the cast that really helps elevate parts of this. We've already touched on it a little bit. But Verno, you get the honor of going first tonight. So what's a character / performance you want to highlight?
There's some good ones. You know, this whole time I was gonna go with Will Graham because I think he's interesting, but I want to talk about Hannibal Lecter, and it's one of those things. Like a lot of people, like you were saying, like my introduction, of course, to Hannibal Lecter is in Silence of the Lambs. So immediately I was thrown off by the accent and just the way that Brian Cox is playing it. And I think it's good. It's solid. I feel like he does two different accents. I don't know if you guys in the first scene, he's got a different accent than when he calls and he talks on the phone. It's British and it's Scottish and it goes back and forth. But either way, it's a solid performance. But I think what I like most about it is the build up to Hannibal Lecter, like the way that they treat the character, less the performance and more like the way they don't use any exposition and they just talk about, like, they build his character up without explaining who he is. Just little hints about his relationship with Will before that. And you just kind of have to pick it up. I didn't necessarily pick it all up on the first watch through, but I really liked that. And then just his little bit that he does with the phone and the gum stick and that performance right there in that scene. Loved that. Yeah. So it definitely grew on me. And I would love to see like a cut of this movie where you just edit some of Anthony Hopkins' performances into this scene and just see how that would play with, or, you know, just replace his bits in there. Because I think it's good, but it is weird. It's not perfect.
Yeah.
You know, his performance.
I really like his performance because, like Joe said, he played it a bit more straight. He wasn't kind of like leaning into it. He wasn't the villain of the movie. He's just like a mysterious figure from the background, but he already comes across in this movie in so little time. You understand that this dude, you can't even fucking tell him a single goddamn thing. He found out this dude's address, the way, and like, I don't you know, I was younger when we were on those kind of phones back in I don't know if you could like what the fuck did he do? He like
Right.
put some like a
Right.
gum wrapper on it. It's like got a hold of an operator's like, excuse me, I have no arms.
Right,
So
I
could
love
you
that.
please, like, what the
I
fuck?
bought it. I'm like, oh yeah, you could do that with a piece.
If
of
you're
gum.
just an operator, you know, this is your job. You're just like, sure. Like whatever, you know, sure. It's wild, man. So he portrays so much with so little, and he does it in a very, I think, very charismatic way that I really, really like. That doesn't go over the top. Speaking of over the top, Delaney's favorite movie about arm wrestling is Over the Top. I agree. What do you think, Delaney? What's a
It's
character?
the only movie, right?
What's the character you want to highlight, bro?
Well, I'm gonna pick the killer. I like Tom Noonan playing Francis Dollarhide. He's so imposing and scary.
He played the
And, like,
Frankenstein monster in
yeah.
Monster Squad. Yeah,
Yeah, he did. And he's just
bogus.
just a great, like, I don't know, his stoic nature. I like how he played that character. I like when he meets Joan Allen for the first time, and it just introduces Francis Dollarhide to this killer than what we have. And that man, I don't know what it is. He scares the crap out of me. And he's such a good villain to play this. And like, I think he does a way better job than I would say like Ray Fiennes did in Red Dragon, of course.
I agree. Yeah.
And it's a lot better. Leaps and bounds. And it's just he seems like a guy, and they're like, oh, he's so handsome, he does this. People think he's so cute. He's like, no, he's not.
I don't understand that, but
That's a big goon. That's a big goon. And he's gonna kill you. I'm like, I got that immediately. So it's such a cool character that he played. I'm sorry, I'm gonna take two, but because it's not gonna be bad. It's not gonna be bad. It's gonna be the kid, Will Graham's son.
Okay. Wow, a movie in which you like the child actor.
I like the child actor in this film.
Dude, let me tell you something. What I love about that is the scene that he has. They're walking through.
What I'm talking about.
Hold on, though. They're walking through a fucking cereal aisle, bro.
Yeah.
So the whole time, I'm just like, oh my God. Jamie is just like, oh my God, you're in heaven. I was like, you missed your fucking tea cereal. Like, I was like enamored, man. I was like, what did they say? I was
Then you get the Folgers commercial.
Yeah.
You like Folgers? Mom likes it too.
Rob, but that is a full-on 1985 cereal
It's
aisle.
perfect.
That's gorgeous.
Michael Mann framed that shot thinking, okay, serial killer movies, cereal aisle. I'm doing some Kubrickian shit here. And Robbie's like, fucking Mr. T cereal. You know, like,
It's there.
Do you think he was doing that? He was like doing too much coke one night when he was like, doing script rewrites on Miami Vice, and he's doing too much coke, and he's like, serial killer, cereal aisle.
Brilliant.
Someone's like, yeah, Michael.
I need some coffee. Fucking Folgers. Yeah, it was all pre-planned out that one night.
Anyway, Delaney, the kid. Sorry, man, but that
Y'all
reminded
talked
me
about
of
the whole scene, but
that
yeah,
cereal. Well, we talked about the cereal.
The fact that the kid is so like, I don't know, he's very stoic. He takes the news that his father has been, mentally challenged by this entire ordeal, and the fact he's back in it.
Do you like how, by the way, it's
like
an example? That. It's an example of a father being pretty fucking honest with his young kid.
He was very honest, and the openness of it, and like how that kid takes it, and I love that whole scene. It probably may be my favorite scene in the movie.
Nice.
About how he explains, his life and what he went through to his son, who understands and deals with it. And I'm like, it's a poignant moment. It tells such a great father-son dynamic that you rarely get, to see like a protagonist like actually deal with his family in a loving way in something like this. It's I don't know, it was quite touching for me, and I really like that scene. Oh. So yeah, it may be my favorite.
I really like the scene when Dollarhide and his minions capture him, and he's like, "My dad's going to kick your ass."
Yeah, that's the best part.
That's a different movie. Anyway, speaking of Mummy Returns, Manny's favorite Mummy sequel is Mummy Returns, and his second favorite Stephen Sommers film, right behind Van Helsing. So, Manny, what do you think? What's the character you want to highlight?
Absolutely. I'm going to take two like Delaney, but first one's not too bad. I want to highlight the bitch because that woman gave birth to the son of a, which is like half the dialogue in this film. All right, constantly everyone's calling out the son of a bitch. So I want to give just a fucking hearty station to the bitch. But no, my favorite character in this film is Stephen Lang's character, Freddie Lounds. I think he plays that so damn good. I didn't even know who the hell. I didn't know that was Stephen Lang. Amazon pulled it up for me as I'm watching it. Like,
who is that?
He's the bad guy from Avatar.
Yeah. He's the detective.
He's the reporter.
The reporter.
Mr. Lounds.
I found that out today. Today I was watching a video and I was like, "That's the fucking dude from Avatar."
So he looks 10 times better as a 70-year-old man than he looked in his 20s. Like it's
the hair.
Not many people like that on Earth.
It's kind of commitment to the role. Dollarhide fucking scared him so bad in this film that he got jacked and he went off and started getting mech suits and shit. Dude, that's commitment. No, that I thought he did really, really well compared to other roles that I've seen him in. So I really liked it. I thought that he played it exactly the right amount of over the top for a cannon fodder character like that. Yep. Like I wanted to see this motherfucker get got, and the way he got like, ooh, dang. I really enjoyed his performance, and I thought he did really well. The range of emotions when he's begging for his life, he sounds like he's legitimately scared.
His responses when he's like, "Do you see?" and he's like, "Yeah, what, bruh? Come on, yes, I
see it."
And then they never show any of the violence. It's usually discussed and implied. And that's something brilliant about the whole way the film is kind of crafted together. But it is a good performance because he goes from the swarmy fucking smug guy that you want to see get murdered to when he gets murdered, you're like, oh no, bro, don't go there. Don't do this. No. It's horrible. So it is. And dude, the fact that he winds up being like Cable Light in Avatar, man, it's pretty fucking. That's insane to me. I would have thought that was the same.
Made a great Cable.
Yeah, Joe, what's a character you want to highlight?
What was it? He was actually one of the characters I was thinking of, and yeah, just I love those kind of characters where directors and writers, all that, make you want to dislike the guy and then go way over the top of what happens to them to like try to make the audience like kind of feel guilty about how they felt. But I'll highlight Joan Allen's character as the blind woman who she's really good. That whole scene, the tiger scene, the scene where she's just in her home and she's getting up, like really everything about it, because she, for me, is the closest we get to some of the moments in like Silence of the Lambs where they're like, you have this character who's just there, and the second she's there, and the second Tom Noonan, like all that stuff, you're like, something horrific is going to happen, and I'm watching this like ticking time bomb. And she's just so good throughout it. She plays it fine as a blind woman. Like I will say, I never really thought she was blind, but as the actress being blind, but I think she did a pretty good job selling it as well as she could. And it worked for me. I genuinely felt like as the last scene's like building up, like, come on, like you gotta like don't like let her get killed. Like what do we got to do? Let's figure something out here so she can make it happen. So if a movie can make me feel that way about a character, then that's great. So
yeah. Plus, what that character, just the fact that she's blind. And I think that's saying a lot about some of the themes of perception in this whole thing. And we'll get to that. But I love that scene, too, where he's like staring at her with that other dude. And he thinks that they're like making out, but he's like getting something out of her eye or something. And he just like, it's a really understated performance. I love the hell out of Joan Allen. The Ice Storm, fucking the Bourne movies. Face Off. She's the mom in Face Off, the one that Nick Cage is like, yeah, and I'm like, really? Anyway, Brooks, surely they left a couple, man. What you got?
I was surprised nobody took the main boy. It was like actually like because like when I remember when like he's first introduced, I'm like, he's just another fucking like main boy cop who's like he's traumatized and shit. But his story is actually a lot more interesting than that because like you understand why he's so apprehensive at the beginning is because he'd been in this world of these killers for so long, and like he'd gotten so good at getting inside their heads. He felt it was taking a toll on him. He was afraid of falling back into it. And, he seems very detached a lot of times. So like you kind of understand like maybe he's trying to to reclaim his humanity, and that's why he doesn't want to do the killer hunting thing anymore unless he absolutely has to. Like that's why dude like drops the photos of the victims and stuff on him just to convince him like we really need you, man. Like we wouldn't call on you if we didn't have to.
Yeah.
But and I like he's very like he's efficient. Like he sees the evidence. He you can see the wheels turning. He talks. He's like, he did this. You did this, didn't you? You son of a bitch.
Yeah. You did it, didn't you, Brooks? You waited. You waited. You saw everybody else.
You had to touch her,
up.
didn't you?
You saw everybody else pass up Will Graham, didn't you son of a bitch? And so you had to do it. What I like about that character too is that the way that this whole thing is done, you don't really see the movie through the way he observes it. You see it as he processes it, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Like you see
he talks it through
as ridiculous as it is sometimes when he's fucking talking to himself up in a goddamn tree in somebody's backyard, and it's like makes you laugh. Like, I'll be honest, Jamie, this was the first time where I was like really excited to have her watch a movie for the first time. She's like, this movie's kind of dumb. And I was like, what the fuck? I'm rethinking my whole goddamn life right now, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Because I love this film, but those moments are ridiculous where he's up in the fucking tree talking to us. You son of a bitch, didn't you? Didn't you? It's just me and you now, isn't it? But that's what it's showing. But we're not seeing it through what he's experiencing, like outwardly, but what he's internalizing. We're seeing that on the outside, which I think is really, really cool. You guys took all the characters. A couple of y'all did too. So I don't know what you expect me to do, except for Dennis Farina is awesome in the movie. Nothing about that character really stands out to me. So I'm going to go ahead and do some BS theory here and say my favorite character is the style of this film, which will lead us into the next topic of discussion, the style and structure of the film. I think it's masterfully crafted. The cinematography in this movie is damned brilliant. The way they're using certain colors to represent certain things. These are external representations of spiritual forces or something. I think Michael Mann said something to the effect of it's the spiritual parts of the story are externalized through things like color and sound, right? And there's a lot of sickly green scenes when we're dealing with Dollarhide and his red dragon persona and his idea of becoming, right? We see a lot of like cool blues when we're dealing with like thoughts of like family and love and warmth and togetherness and unity, right? And so you see the reds when the red dragon starts coming through. The green represents the weak man, but the red dragon's coming through, and that's why he's dragging her on the pier. He's got the Mars. That's Mars up there, and it's really interesting stuff going on there. So I love the design of it. I love the way it's shot. These like panning shots, these like dolly shots that linger on an object. Like add that with the music, which we'll be discussing here in just a few, but add that all together. It's a mesmerizing, hypnotizing, enchanting experience watching this movie. It transports me. I feel like I'm doing drugs, even if I'm not doing drugs. Y'all know what I'm saying? There's something about it. And even when you're like sober as shit, but sometimes in your life you just hit a moment and you have like a glitch in the matrix, or you just feel like just right in tune at the right moment. this movie puts me in that kind of mindset. That's all to me because of the amazing pacing, the amazing visuals. As far as the script goes, I love it. Very typical story. Hey, buddy, I know you don't want to do this anymore. It messed you up bad, but we need you back at the bureau. We need you to help us figure out the serial killer case, right? But it doesn't have any crazy exposition when this movie starts. It's a very subtle conversation. You pick up the weight of it first, then you start understanding what's actually happening. And then instead of showing us in gory detail everything, we're seeing like Graham describe it, and he's just there. And you don't even see, like, it's such an amazing movie script for me because it's so efficient, and it's also using things like exposition in a different way that's very engaging to me as an audience member. That's what I think. Style and structure. Take that however you will. What do you think, Verna?
It's tough to follow. First, I want to point out that we did not mention Jack Crawford. He's a good cop. He's a Chicago cop, and we didn't talk about him. But as far as the style, like this, what stands out to me cinematography wise are the still shots. Manny, you're a photographer. Like, this is shot with a photographer's eye. There's so many like compositions that are just perfect, and they just linger on it. Like the opening shot of the movie, I think it's the opening shot. The first time that you see Jack Crawford and Will sitting on the beach, they just linger on that shot. It's like a perfect photograph, and the movie's filled with those. You mentioned the colors, so as far as structure goes, the thing I was going to mention is just it's kind of like what I talked about with Lecter. It's the way that they introduce all the characters. Like, there's two different ways that you can, or there's probably more than two, but like you can show the serial killer at the beginning killing someone, and then we find out who it is. But like, I like how they wait, like halfway through, they show him he's got the nylons over his face, and then we finally see him.
And what's crazy is the very first scene is from the killer's perspective.
Right.
And it's so crazy. Then they drop it.
I love that too. Just the slow motion, her like, what the fuck is that? And you know things go south for her. But same thing with Lecter, same way that they build up Will Graham's character, where you just kind of know, like, oh, he must be a badass. He's like their last resort. People are dying. We've got to bring you in. So it's like it just builds him up as the Manhunter, and then you get to see him actually go in there and talking to himself, and just it's badass that way structurally. The one thing I was gonna say story wise that I do like it and I don't like it. Like, I love the bits with the blind lady. I think that's cool. I'm glad that that's part of the film, but I wish we had seen the Tooth Fairy actually like trying to kill a family or like stalking a family a little bit more, since that's his MO, is that he kills families.
Well, he was stalking the one family, but then he gets distracted, right? Yeah. Because of his perceived grievance against her, right?
Right. Oh, you're okay. Sitting there like, did we see him actually stalking her, or like watching footage? And
he was actively stalking another family.
Okay.
I think that night, like, I don't know. I have to go back and look at it again, but I think at that night he was like leading up to that, he was stalking another family.
He was. Right. Look at that lady.
Okay.
Look at the lady in the film.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. But yeah, I mean that's what I got to say about it. I love that. I love the structure of it. I think is one of the strongest parts of the movie and the script for sure.
Yeah, it really is. The whole visual aspect, and like, I really think like Michael Mann is known as a director, and I get that he's got a great visual style, but this dude is a hell of a fucking writer, in my opinion, like 100%. And this is, to me, one of the best scripts of a fucking movie, man, that I've ever, like, I fucking love it. Anyway, Jelani, what do you think? Style, structure?
It's a pretty film. It's very pretty. It's great to look at. You were right, Verno, about how they have stills for each shot. I like the use of slow motion in certain things to build that story up. It's great. I like Will's process. I like how he talks to himself. I don't know. You got to talk it through with somebody. And he was talking. He was talking to Hannibal.
He was fucking intense, bro. Dude's intense, and that's the thing. That's why they need him, right? Because he puts himself in
their minds. Yeah. He does all of the steps necessary to like find out what this killer is thinking, and it's so cool. And I like the process of it. And if Michael Mann wrote this, he did a great job doing it. It's an excellent detective story. I think he pieces together the pieces very well. The fact that they can hop on a plane and go anywhere just at his say so. I like how organized the FBI was and how they were trying to search for this guy.
Do you really think FBI agents, by the way, like run the fuck out of planes?
No, not at all. But man, it's just such a crazy like concept for they're just like, got a Learjet ready. I'm like, what? But yeah, it's paced well. I don't think it's boring at all. I think it's telling the story very concisely. I love the scenes where I was watching a video and they were talking about the colors again and how the white is law enforcement. It's like, well, it's white and bombastic.
You're right.
And
I talked about all those colors, but when they get to like
you get to Hannibal Lecter's cell, and it's like pure white. He's wearing white jumpsuit, white walls. It's not dingy,
and all the debriefings, the debriefings, and all that stuff, super
white.
stark white. Yeah,
and it's just it's out there. And the colors are amazing. They are. And you look at it more than once, and like, yeah, it's a very mesmerizing film, along with the music, along with just the characterization of these people. It all comes together very well. It's paced, like I said, very well to the point where you can understand the mind of the killer from, first of all, his eyes. And then from the eyes of Will Graham. And I love the freaking scene with the mirrors in the eyes, and he's like looking, and you see the mirrors in the eyes of the woman when she gets up. That's creepy as crap. And I'm like, whoa. But it's shot so well to where the light hits the mirror.
Cats in the dark also scared you later, apparently.
Yeah, Cats in the Dark do scare me. Yes. It freaked me out. It's a very pretty film.
It really is. Really is. Very pretty film. Speaking of pretty, Manny.
Well,
you're pretty.
Thank
you.
You
got some pretty colors in your background there and stuff.
I need the blue symbolizes romance. Yeah. The red is anyway.
And like Verno, you're a photographer, you're a videographer. I want to know what do you think about the style and structure of this film?
Yeah. Well, the style and structure of the film, I mean, it's very competently shot. I mean, I am one who personally likes the close-up and medium shots. Like I like that he centers the characters in a lot of the frames too. Mm-hmm. It really does. It's different, right? Because we're always looking. At least one of the tropes I fall into a lot is I'm always looking for an interesting shot, which to me apparently means fucking move the subject into the right third of the frame and fucking that's artistic. But no, this is I think it's really cool, well shot. There's some really cool visual things outside of the colors that I thought were cool. Will Graham talking to Hannibal. They just do that classic shot where it just cuts between the two characters and their POVs looking at each other during the dialogue, but they're both in bars, which I think is kind of cool because throughout the film there's like this motif of shit happening to Will Graham and then shit happening with the killers, right? Because like, who's the first person to get violent against Freddie Lowndes? Fucking Will Graham. You know what I mean? Yeah. Who's the person that we start to see the violence through first? We see it through Will Graham, and then we get introduced to Dollarhide. Like Will Graham is the doorway that we go into this fucking serial killer mind, right?
That's a big part of the thematic material that I want to get to later, because that scene in particular, I'm glad you mentioned that, because it's the same background and the bars between. So when you're watching it, it's like, who's in the cell?
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? It's really interesting.
So
absolutely.
Lecter says the line, "If you want the scent, smell yourself," which I had to put the subtitles on to hear, but it's like, that's a good ass line.
Oh yeah. I like that it feels like a procedural, like comparing it to Silence of the Lambs, it's very different. It's doing something totally different. Like this is very much like Law and Order. Like I'm half expecting Dick Wolf's name to pop up at some point. We get the procedural stuff as it goes on, right? And Silence of the Lambs is a 90s psychological thriller, right? It's fucking, you know what I mean? So it's like they're two completely different things. It's so like I remember even like the Hannibal television show when they did the Dollarhide stuff with Richard Armitage, like they're all every time we've gotten a Hannibal story, it's through the lens of whatever the hell is popular at the time. And I commend Michael Mann for doing it as a procedural, and one that does not get boring, even in the bits that should be boring. Like 35 minutes into this movie, we spend like this whole time of forensic science. Like there's like a 10-minute period where people are like, oh, okay, this is the for all the forensic portion. That should have been boring. And in a less competent writer and filmmaker, it could have been. You know what I mean?
Well, they're doing that thing where that dude has to do the red room and he's trying to find the thumbprint or something. Like, that's fucking fascinating to me.
Dude.
I was like, how did he know there's a thumbprint on the fucking eyeball?
Dude.
Because he thinks like a killer, bro.
It's so freaking it's just so good. So in the POV shots, again, you said that the POV shot at the beginning with Dollarhide, and then when after Will freaks out after seeing Lecter, it's a POV shot of him running through the car. Like there's just these really interesting parallels in the way Michael Mann has set it up. And again, like I said, he uses a lot of them close up and medium shots, but then like there's a shot of Will when they're doing a briefing, and Will is shot full shot, long shot with green behind him, Dollarhide's colors, like all of these little tiny touches that are just so well thought out in retrospect. You know what I mean? Like you look at this film and you're like, holy shit, there was some really smart stuff going on.
He's wearing a green shirt at one point, same color.
Yeah,
it's a green, and it's not just like a good green, it's like an ugly green. It's like a Freddy shirt green. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Yeah,
dude,
like a baby shit green. Which Manny's familiar with.
Yes, very much so. Very much so. My fingers still smell like A&D ointment, which I guess is better than the alternative. All right, so yeah, that being said, this was a really good film, and it's really well shot. And like I said, it doesn't have like that clinical precision that you get in some of those Michael Mann later films like Heat and things like that, but I like it because it doesn't feel quite as sterile either. Everything in this film is, even in the parts that people would consider boring, there's a life in it, and there's something about that raw, and that this fucking polenta in this movie because it's gritty, and so it ties in. Anyway, I'm gonna stop rambling.
There's this movie was heavily criticized when it first came out for being, they were like, it's style over substance, and I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with y'all? You know what I'm saying? But Joe, you're a writer, you're an editor.
Yeah.
You're a cinephile. What do you think about the style and structure of this film?
I would say I think they're missing the mark in saying it's style over substance. The reality is Michael Mann here sacrifices like clarity for style sometimes in the film. Like there are certainly moments in the film where you're like, I'm not exactly sure if this is linear or not at this point, like, because they never make it like super clear. Like sometimes you're like, wait, is this happening like a few hours before, a few hours later? Is this happening at the same time, that Will's doing that? So I can see that argument of, they do sacrifice, clarity here sometimes for style and effect, but I think that kind of stuff's important, and I tend to prefer that over a movie that holds your hand through the whole thing and make sure you know exactly where you are at all times. Building on what people were saying before, I love how out of all the characters that Hannibal is the one in the brightest, whitest room at all times. I did make a point to like listen to like some of the interviews about this and how what was it? They were you had William Peterson talking about how that cell, that one, like that first moment when they're meeting and shooting back and forth through the bars, took 2 days to shoot because Michael Mann was very much like, he had to make sure everyone was exactly where they needed to be, because he's like, I need you to be through the bars exactly this way during this scene. I need to make, like, I want Hannibal to not face you when he first talks to you. Like, that was important. Like,
That's
awesome. Everything happening in the movie was very precise. And I love that. I mean, there were also interviews, talking about how, like, over the top demanding he could be. He had apparently fired a bunch of people involved in like the art department when they were filming the, Tom in the van, because there was like a scratch on the van and everyone missed it, so he fired everyone involved in that. And then they redid it. They redid it and shot it. There was in like Tom's home, there was like a dolly shot, and the guy who was running the dolly couldn't get the shot right, so he fired him. And then so like he asked, like, can anyone do this shot? So like a grip who was like, this is my shot, who had no idea what he was doing, was like, yeah, no, I can do it, and then tried and couldn't, so he fired him too.
You only get one shot. Do not miss your chance to get fired too, bruh. Should have just kept your mouth shut.
Michael Mann.
So it was just like so like, on the one hand, it's like, yeah, that's harsh, and maybe that's like tough on the set, and that can hurt morale at different times. But the fact that he had such a strong vision for this movie, this was not George Lucas sitting in the chair looking at a monitor being like, all right, cool, yeah, faster and more intense, while he's sipping his coffee. Like, it was, it was like, it's a guy who had a vision and he wanted to execute it, and he knew exactly what that vision was, and he was doing everything he could to translate that vision from his head to the screen. So I tend to lean towards that over other types of films. So
yeah, hell yeah, that's some really cool, interesting stuff. He's such a hard ass on set, right? Imagine him working with Christian Bale.
Oh God, that would not happen.
The hard ass of the PCP crew, Excitable We Are, is Brooks. So he's not an over hard ass. But Brooks, what do you think about the style and structure of the film?
Yeah, like I said, I like the style of this movie, and I think what makes it work most is how, like, in a movie like this where you get the perspective of both the officer, the cop, and the killer. Like, usually you're gonna prefer one character's like side more than the other. But in this movie, they're pretty well balanced, I think. Like, I think, I'm interested in what the main boy is doing, and I'm also interested in seeing, what the killer is doing too. And and it has like some really good shots. It's a very you can tell the director's like, I'm gonna get some good ass shots in this movie. Yeah. This is gonna be my masterpiece.
Absolutely. I love how the characters of Graham and Dollarhide to Brooks are just main boy and bad boy.
Bad boy.
I love it, because we bad boy for life. Let's talk about the music real quick. It's difficult to not notice the music in this film. Mostly done by Michelle Rubini and the Reds. I love it, but we also got Iron Butterfly and Prime Movers. Strong as I Am really used very incredibly well. I love the music in this film. There are moments where the sound, like the actual like sound design of the film, gets drowned out by the score, gets drowned out by whatever song's playing, and some of the song choices bit on the nose. Like, are you making a music video? Are you making a fucking movie, bruh? But that's something that you gotta struggle with when you're trying to really use music to make a point in your movie. But just like the movie is filmed in a flowing kind of way, the music gives me that sense, that kind of idea, that sense. These synths that come out in waves, it's like tidal. It just like washes over me. I feel the same way. And this is, I don't think this is any kind of a coincidence. I feel the same way about the score of this movie as I do about Southland Tales. And the score in Southland Tales
See that.
was done by Moby. And Michael Mann goes on to use a lot of Moby music because Moby's got this quality of this like tidal, rising, cinematic, ethereal quality that really, really works with the aesthetic of Michael Mann. The music in this movie is fucking amazing. I start every Monday morning pulling the books off of the comic shelves that are going to have new ones coming out this week, counting the numbers and all that shit. And I do that before we open the store. And I just fucking put on this soundtrack today and blared it. And everybody's like, rather depressing. I was like, this fucking shit is awesome. You shut the fuck up. Don't worry. We're getting 15 minutes of Indigo Vita. Anyway. What do you think about the music, Verno?
I loved it, man. It really stands out. Like there's sometimes we'll be doing Dylan's horror show and I'm like, shit, I forgot to pay attention to the music and I just totally missed it. And this one, like you said, you can't help but notice it because there are these bits that are like music videos, but there's a bunch that stand out. First of all, like I think it's the main theme, I guess would be, it's got a very Shine On You Crazy Diamonds quality to it, or at least the opening to Shine On You Crazy Diamonds.
Yeah,
that stands out.
That might be Graham's theme. I think I don't know for
right.
sure, but
yeah, I you might be right there. Yeah. The other bit that it really stands out, and it helps you when he's doing the detecting before he climbs up in the tree and gets all intense. But when he's out in the woods investigating, and this really like kind of like sexy, sensual music comes on, it shows you like that intimacy that he has to gain with the killer. You know what I mean? Like he investigates sexy, if that makes sense. And the music really lays that on thick. And the other part, or there's two more parts, is the tiger scene. That is unbelievably sexy. I don't know what that music is, if that's score, if that's a song or whatever, but that's wild. That is just like the most psychedelic thing I've ever experienced, other than psychedelic drugs. That's so intense. That, and when the Tooth Fairy is sitting in his van, and that's another part that's very psychedelic. Like like you touched on earlier, the movie has those drugged out qualities to it, and obviously music helps with drugged out qualities in a big way. So
it's almost
I loved it.
It's almost like the perspective trying to be conveyed is like that, you know, like that's what it's like, first of all, to be somebody who's capable of these horrendous things. And then what it's like to be somebody who can conceive of somebody doing these, you know what I'm saying? It leads you to, and, you know, he's trying to be the Red Dragon. He's trying to basically ascend, you know, and it's very psychedelic. Yeah. This becoming or whatnot. It's really fucking wild, man. But the music really helps accentuate that. What do you think, Jelani, about the music?
That's some pretty music too, man. It fits well with the music that he chose. Fits very well with the aesthetic of the movie. It's sexy. It gets you. It's very. I don't know. It takes you to another place, to be honest. And yeah, you gotta be on drugs to understand. Sometimes to understand it, but man, this junk is crazy. But. I'm sorry, I gotta go back to Inagata Davida. That gummit, that song, like in the scene that it's in, I'm like, this is perfect.
And
like,
it's so loud.
It's loud, and she's like, stop it! It was like, oh my god! It's like it shows that he's becoming like he's the Red Dragon now, and she must pay for having a guy drive her home. You know, and it's just so messed up. And I like how, you know, each song gives you a feeling of what it is. But in the God of Davida, dadgummit. That's the one where I'm just like, what the crap, man? What the crap?
Hell yeah.
So
it always reminds me of that bit in The Simpsons.
Yeah.
When they play that, if you remember in the early Simpsons episodes.
In the good old days.
It sounds like some rock and or roll.
Manny, what do you think about the music, man?
Oh, like every PCP movie night, I watched this film and I was like Verno at Dylan's horror show. I'm like, fuck, I'm supposed to be paying attention to the music. The music in this, I mean, in Inagata-Davida, that part stands out, obviously.
Nuts, man.
There's some real cool like synth type shit that happens during some running scenes. I recognize that. I mean, it didn't really like sweep me up like it does y'all. I don't do enough drugs, and that's my fault. That's on me, y'all.
You had the volume too low, man. You had the volume too low.
You gotta play that shit high.
I don't understand how you don't even. How do you not notice the goddamn music?
Well, I notice it. It doesn't
It's
like.
everywhere, son.
It don't stand. It just like I don't.
Manny,
I don't
how
pay
long we
attention
been
to
doing this show?
it.
How long we've been doing PCP?
He's
movie
doing
night?
a brush. He's doing a brush.
a long time. But I can't
Every
say
episode we talk about what?
music and score. And you know what I really want to give some like Chamorro Cinema bullshit and be like, oh well, you see, he uses color and music and he drowns out the scene in those things in order to appeal to your more primal mind, because that's where these killers are tapping into. There's something about the primality about killing. I would have, but I was like, that wouldn't sound as disingenuous as like the other fucking times you've called on me tonight. So
atmospheric. Just throw in an atmospheric, man.
Yeah,
that'll get you every time.
So that being said, I think the music is telling a very complex story in a very simple way.
There you go. Like Jonathan Hickman and Mike Huddleston's Decorum, right?
Well done.
Yeah, there you go. What's funny is that Verno, you mentioned the Steph atmospheric bit, right? So on Saturday night when we kicked off March Madness with the Entity on Dylan's Horror Show, Steph was like, "Oh man, I couldn't help but notice the music in this one. It was incredibly atmospheric." But he meant it. Joe, did you notice the music in this one?
I did. It was very atmospheric. It set the tone. I really like the music in this. I agree with what everyone was saying beforehand. Strong as I Am, when that plays, and that's another like loud, sort of disturbing bit there. An interesting music fact. Apparently they were looking into doing something with like a Stevie Wonder song revolving around Hannibal Lecter, but they ended up not bothering to pursue it because after a little bit they were like, there's no way that Stevie Wonder is going to be like, oh yeah, no, it'd be cool if like a serial killer was using like my song.
Yeah, what?
It'd be really awesome.
What, like when he gets on the phone, it's gonna be like, I just called
Yeah.
to say,
yeah, like why not? But no, so yeah, but I really liked it. And yeah, a lot of that, like it all feeds into the tone. Like just there's something about those, like 80s movies filmed in a look that way with that kind of like synthy score at times. And
yes.
That's like an aesthetic. It's kind of like a default, like, all right, I'm at least gonna like, I'll hear you out. Like,
dude, that aesthetic is my soul, Joe.
Yeah, but
that's like that's my life.
Yeah. So like if a movie's like that and I don't even know what it is, like I'll at least hear that movie out. So yeah, absolutely. So it's definitely I lean into that kind of thing.
Real quick, Joe, just real quick. Do you like The Hunger? Have you ever seen that one? The David Bowie,
I have seen insane Bowie movies, but I have yet to watch The Hunger.
Oh, bro, we got to review that.
We got to do that. I got to do that, and then I got to get you. Have you ever watched the Linguini incident?
No.
Joe's making shit up at this point.
The Linguini incident is one of my favorite David Bowie movies. It makes no sense. It came out in like 1990, and the premise of the movie is David Bowie is like a bartender at this like fancy restaurant, and he needs to find a wife to get a green card because there aren't lines of women who would marry 1990 David Bowie. Like and so then he ends up having to like orchestrate a heist. So he has to find like this like girl who like, so there's this girl that like works there and she's like an escape artist. And that girl is Patricia Arquette. And it is just wild movie.
I thought I had November 2022 figured out for PCP movie night, but maybe we should do Bowie Fest, actually, now that I think about it.
I would love that. The Man Who Fell to Earth is a favorite
I know,
of mine.
and Dan Waters will have just released his graphic adaptation of that.
Oh, nice.
Like in October, I think is when that drops. I don't remember who the artist is, but Dan Waters doing The Man Who Fell to Earth as a graphic novel.
That's perfect.
Sold.
And I love there was a bit in the commentary of that movie where Bowie's openly talking about, yes, like Nicholas Roeg, gets me to do this movie. And he's like, I already started writing songs. And then, Nicholas, I sent him to, Nicholas, and he's like, I don't want your songs. I hired you to be an actor. And that's why a bunch of those songs are on the Low soundtrack or on the Low album. So.
That's the same reaction that Will Smith got when he signed on with Suicide Squad. He was like, bro, I wrote like 4 songs with Jazzy Jeff. Like, what's going on? Brooks, what do you think about the music? Did you notice it?
I did. And
you're one up on Manny tonight.
It was good. I think music that's good at helping with the suspense, like in a movie where you want to build suspense like this, like if you can get that little boost from the music is always better. But a lot of the times it's easy to fail on that because you hear a song or like a piece of music that's meant to be suspense, and you're like, oh yeah, gee. But in this case, it actually works,
Yeah, it really does.
As someone who has actually listened to In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida all the way through multiple times.
What do you mean? As someone who? What are you trying to be?
As someone who?
You trying to be?
You have plenty of time.
You trying to be hipster on Iron Butterfly? What the fuck, man? What's your favorite album?
Listen to if you're like stoned and you're driving. You're on like a 30-minute drive.
Yeah.
And I remember I used to work like in Morgan City, so I would have to drive for like 30 minutes sometimes.
So you just get stoned and listen to this song. I understand.
I would actually have the album In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida, and I would listen to this song with this like 10-minute drum solo.
Yeah.
I got some jam bands that I might send you. You might like.
Brooks isn't so much into the jam bands.
Well, if he's jamming out to anything 10 minutes long, I got some shit for you.
He does like the prog rock of the 70s.
Had like a lot of long songs too.
Yeah. It's good. I used to just put on let's just listen to Echoes. That's a good drive to Arab. Let's just put on Echoes. Anyway, hell yeah, great discussion tonight, man. This is a really cool movie. If you've never seen Manhunter, you really should. We haven't really spoiled anything. I mean, they capture the killer, but they kill him actually.
Whoa.
But, whoa, my bad. Spoilers. What's the movie trying to say? What's the theme? There's a lot of stuff we can pick out. Verno, you get the unfortunateness to go first.
Yeah, right. This one, luckily, we got some smarter people on the panel than myself. So I'll just say, because I feel like there's some of these themes that stood out more to you guys than me, but I guess what I'll go with is like from Will Graham's perspective of like getting back on the horse. You know what I mean? Like facing your fears kind of a thing. That's what he had to go through.
Yeah.
He got screwed up by Lecter. He was out the game. He got back in the game. It ended up working out for him. He was stronger for it. And then I guess that there's freaky deaky murderers out there. There's predatory like outliers out there. There, you know what I mean? Just you don't know who you can trust, especially if you're a blind woman and this guy sounds like a creep and he doesn't speak right, then you might not want to go with him. But that's what I got, man. I'm really looking forward to hearing what you guys have to say.
Well, you're right about Graham's character, right? Because he does wind up having to fall back into what set him on a dark path after Hannibal. It wasn't just the physical assault that he received, because they mentioned that he got like cut up by Hannibal, but when he has to sink into this mindset, it's a really terrifying thing, right? And the fact that he is able to go into the abyss, stare at it again, and then come the fuck back out of it, and at the end of it, still be united with his family and be himself, that's fucking awesome. So that was well said, Verno.
Thank you.
100%. What about you, Jelani? What do you think this movie is about? What's it saying to you?
Stole my Will Graham stuff, man. You stole my Will Graham stuff. Since you stole my Will Graham stuff,
well, you can always elaborate on it, you know.
Well, no, it's perfect.
It's multifaceted. This movie.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's about becoming. It's about change and how you grow. Because Will did go through a change where he almost died, and it caused him physical and mental anguish to the point where he left his job. He changed, first of all, to get away from the life that he has, and then all of a sudden he changes again to back into what he was to help find this killer. I think that at one point, Francis Dollarhide changed. The fact he was changing from, well, he was becoming his persona of the Red Dragon, but at the same time, he wanted to go back because he felt, well, he didn't really want to go back, but it felt like he was going to stop his reign because he met this woman. He met this blind woman.
His relationship with Joan Allen usurps his becoming. Right?
Yeah. Like he wanted to be seen, and he was just like, I found this woman and I want to change. I want to be better. I want to love this woman. But then, apparently some guy trying to get some hair out of her face.
He's looking for he's looking for the disappointment.
Right.
Right. That's the
and
thing.
He can't
like,
wait.
Yeah.
Right.
He knows it's coming. It's inevitable. I'm not good enough.
Right.
She's exactly.
And he wants it. He wants that to happen. But when he finds it, he's just like, that's when I get to tear up the interior of my car and kill you. It's just like he was going to find any excuse. That was the thing. It could have been this. It could have been something down the road. It could have been absolutely anything that would have set him off to start his killing streak. His thirst for blood was just not going to allow him to change. And it feels like the juxtaposition of Will and Francis, it's just they're two sides of just different coin of the same coin. It is how you view the protagonist and the antagonist in the film. Like I agree with both of them in certain aspects. Like when Francis is about to change, I'm like, yeah, okay, I could see him being happy and jump, but like I said, he could find any excuse and go right back to where he was.
It's a great visual moment there. Did. We see Graham and his wife looking at the sunset with the warm colors coming up. Mm-hmm. And then at the moment when him and Joan Allen are embracing the night after, and it seems like it's real, like the same thing is happening. It's like the sunrise or whatnot.
Sunrise, yeah.
Bruh,
the light, the size.
It is about becoming 100%, bruh. But who becomes who?
Right.
Who makes who? Who said what?
I don't know.
Who's
nature versus nurture?
Yeah, all that kind of jam.
Yep.
So Manny, you watched this movie. Surely you noticed a theme.
I did.
What is the movie saying?
I've been talking about themes all night. No, this film is about choosing humanity over divinity. There's this really cool thing happening in the dialogue and throughout the film about like God, right? You kill, you become like God. God drops a roof on 34 of his followers. I mean, there's this idea of divinity becoming the Red Dragon. Will Graham tastes that forbidden fruit, and he's got that choice between going towards that or being human. Humans get to live life with their wives in, I'm assuming, a very nice area in Florida, with their children. God's child gets set down and killed. I mean, there's some like really, really interesting things there being said. And at the very end, after there's a scene where Lecter's talking to Will. And he says, didn't it feel good to shoot him? I know it felt good to shoot him, right? And then at the end, when he kills Dollarhide, he could relish in that, and he could go back into that life. But no, he's more content to tell Reba, I'm Will Graham. I'm a human. You know what I mean? He turns back. He goes. He doesn't stay in the FBI. He doesn't relapse like the psychiatrist said. He goes back home. He chooses to be human. Dollarhide could have chosen to be human with Reba, but instead he chose divinity, or at least what his warped mind considered divinity.
Yeah.
And it's just such a really cool parallel. I love that. You brought up The Simpsons, which gets the wheels turning, right? In the Garden of Eden, I love that there's all this green associated with the evil, and that Will Graham tasted that fruit when he was dealing with Lecter before. He's tasting it again, going after Dollarhide. He's literally walking through the Garden of Eden, and now he has to face the devil in front of him. It's so fucking on the nose when you think about it, but it's just laid in such a realistic way that you understand it on a internal level without it having to beat you over the face.
Because he's approaching through the vegetation, right? He's approaching through like plants and shit. Like he's in the garden, like 100%. By the way, they live in the blue area of Florida. Like is what I've been able to piece together by watching this film.
Is that why it was so blue in their house? Okay.
It's the blue area of Florida. It used to be on the moon. Now the Inhumans are in Florida. You can tell that I first found out about the Inhumans in the 90s. Joe, what's this movie saying to you? What's the thing?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it's already been touched on, but basically, Will and Hannibal are basically equals. It's just one's in jail and one isn't. But they both
killed.
Yeah, but they've both have the same mentality. It's just one person killed, the other person didn't. One person got caught having that mentality, and the other person didn't. And they talk to each other like they're colleagues, like throughout the movie and all of that. They have a really like cordial, like even in and they're different movies, but like Silence of the Lambs, like Clarice and Hannibal have a very antagonistic relationship, or if anything, it's more Hannibal being more like a mentor in some ways. In this movie, Will and Hannibal are very much like equals, and they're treating each other that way. And most of the characters in the movie feel like aspects of Will, and if Will went a certain direction, that would have happened to him. So when you're looking at it, like you have what happened with like Freddy, and it's like Will has that arrogance in him, and we see it throughout the movie. And it's like if Will let his arrogance get the best of him, he might have been killed in that same way. Will was blind to a lot of things that was going on, like Joan Allen. If he couldn't see what was happening, he could have ended up like that kind of stuff throughout the movie. It's like you look at that with like was it Dennis Farina's character Jack. It's like if he played it by the book and he went by the book to do it, it would have had a different outcome. And it's all these different characters who are trying to pull him, and it feels like they're all aspects of him pulling him in different directions. And even like Hannibal kind of being like, just fucking you do it, like just take care of it, like we're equals, like they even have that conversation where he's just like, what, you caught me, you think you're better than me, and he's like, no I don't. And they like we'll even have to clarify that with Hannibal. Like that's something you wouldn't see like someone like Clarice do. But then like even like Tom Noonan, again, it's like if I let my urges get to like this point, if I really if I was trying to do what I wanted to do, I could have ended up like this guy, because I know how it works, I know what to do. So the movie just it feels like Will is like aspects of his personality are represented in all the different characters, pulling him in all sorts of different directions, and then he ultimately has to make the decision at the end.
Hell yeah, spot on. We have Ferno up there. Whoa. Brooks, what's the movie saying to you?
I think like a big thing in this movie is like kind of the right and wrong ways to have a relationship, especially like romantic wise. Because when you see the main boy, like he's getting called back in, and his wife is like, she's concerned about him, because you get the feeling that maybe he's had like it caused some problems in their relationship, maybe with, his job at some point. But she trusts him enough to, do it. And like, she knows he has this sense of responsibility and obligation. So she trusts him that he'll do the job and he'll come back and he'll be fine. And, he trusts her as well. And in contrast, the killer, he gets a relationship. Like, he finds somebody who's willing to, to open up to him and let him in too. And all it takes is seeing one little thing, and he just, he doesn't have the ability to trust somebody else, in the way that, Main Boy and his wife do. And, it's the whole idea of someone like that feeling like, you don't have a partner, but, that kind of possessive nature, that can be really bad in a lot of relationships, because oh, how dare you, do something against me in particular, So I think that's a big part of this movie is is being able to have a relationship with somebody, but not getting so too far into it, not making it so much about yourself,
Yeah. Absolutely. Man, y'all have killed it tonight. 100%. To me, what it's saying to me is that the things that we hate the most in others are the same things we disgust in ourselves. That we are disgusted by ourselves, right? So this movie's about reflection. There's a lot of elements in the film where, for instance, the killer, right? He puts shards of glass in their eyes and shit like that, right?
See himself.
Yeah, right. Then we're seeing things like watching the videotapes over and over, which is kind of like a reflection, right? We're talking about screens, we're talking about mirrors, right? We see Will repeatedly throughout the movie look into a pane of glass or a mirror or something like that. Sometimes he's talking to himself and looking at his reflection. Like when he says, looks like it's just me and you now, he's looking at the car window and a reflection of himself. So the point to me of the movie, and it's multi-layered, but to me, what really stood out was that idea of reflection, that Will, his trauma from before is that he is just like Joe and some of y'all represented and talked about is just like Dollarhide. He knows that he's going to take off the gloves to touch her because she's a beautiful woman. He has to bring himself to a point where he's thinking like somebody like that, because it's a capability, it's a possibility within all of us. We have a shadow, we have a dark side. This, though, was about not overcoming the shadow, but embracing the shadow, right? He has to embrace the darkness within to understand the darkness, to defeat the darkness. But in truly understanding the darkness within and accepting it, not trying to overcome it, not trying to bury it, but by accepting it, understanding it, and utilizing it and integrating it, he's able to defeat the true darkness and go back whole to his family, right? If that makes any kind of sense. I think that's the whole thing. It even leads to the bit at the end where when he is running for the ultimate final physical confrontation with the enemy, he charges right through that glass. He breaks the glass. Yeah. He breaks the glass, goes through, and confronts his dark side and defeats it. You get what I'm saying? So it's like when you look in the mirror and you don't like what you see, and the fact that everything else that we disgust and hate about the world is that which we hate about ourselves. You got to understand that sometimes. I think it's hard for people to understand that. But what annoys you the most in your best friend is something probably inside of you that you really hate, like a personal trait you have that you haven't dealt with yet. Accept it, integrate it, then you can move on. By the way, when he crashes through that window at the end, he immediately gets his fucking ass killed and gets shot up. And Jamie in that moment, remember, she didn't really necessarily like the film. I think she gave it 3 you digs. But as soon as he breaks through and all that shit happens, she goes, well, that didn't go how he planned.
Why didn't he shoot the damn window? Why dive through it? You have a gun.
Because like Joe in particular was talking about earlier, everything is so meticulous. That is very intentional. I think that he's breaking through the glass, right?
I get it, but it's also like, bro.
Yeah. You're right, though, man. Like, why?
Better ways to go about
He's just hauling ass. He's like that dude. He's like that dude in Get Out, just running at that dude. Like, sorry, I scared you last night. All right, hey, Dylan in the house. Dylan.
Dylan.
Oh, hey.
Dylan, we're about to get to the good juicy bits. So, Verno, out of 5 possible you digs, and you out there in the chat, including you, Dylan, what do you give Manhunter out of 5 possible you digs, Verno?
I think I made clear that I loved it. I'm like tempted to give it a 5, but I'm not gonna. I'm gonna give it a very solid, super solid 4.5.
Nice.
And it's weird. Like you mentioned the slow prodding pace. I think if that's the word for a movie that with this pace, it's a huge achievement that it's not boring. You know what I mean? Like it could easily be boring. He messed around a little bit, it's boring, but every scene is super interesting to me. So I absolutely loved it. I'm glad you introduced it to me. 4.5.
Hell yeah. 4.5, Verno. That's nice. What about you, Jelani?
I mean, I like this movie. I still like this movie. I watch it again. It's very, very tightly made movie. Very, like I said before, very pretty. So I'm gonna do one up on Verno. I'm gonna give it a 4.69, dude. Because it's a great watchable film, man. And like I'm impressed with the serial killer. I really like Francis Dollar Hyde as a character. I don't know why. It's just he's compelling to me because like he wants to become a god and he wants people to watch him. And it's such a crazy concept other than eating people with Hannibal Lecter, but it's just to get into the mind of a serial killer and for the way Michael Mann portrays it on film and how it systematically works with Will Graham trying to find this guy, it's just such a clean film for that. So I 4.69, dude.
4.69. All right. What about you, Manny?
I'm gonna give it not quite a solid 4 or 5, but I'm gonna give it a creamy 4 or 5. I think it's good. I love the hell out of this, and I wish I could think of more clever, witty shit for the bit to go on, but all I had was this fucking PNG. So I'll turn it off now and pass it over to Joe.
Did you say a creamy 4.5?
Creamy 4.5.
Yeah, creamy.
I should have said gritty because we've had this whole fucking polenta and gritty thing going on. So, but I couldn't think of any other gritty or
you
gritty
started off
foods.
so strong tonight, Manny.
I know it.
Yeah.
I know it.
You getting
I'll
tired?
be better next time.
You need a Snickers? Anyway, no, I'm just kidding, Manny. The fun thing about Manny is we're all doing a bit, right?
It's true.
Joe, out of 5 you digs, what do you give this film?
I was thinking of 4.5 as well. It's really good. It hits a lot of the things I like in a movie, like the aesthetic, the score, everything like that. Like, you know, like even comparing it to something like Silence of the Lambs and saying like, oh, there are points where it's like better. Like Silence of the Lambs also doesn't scratch some of those same itches in film that I like. Like I could go on and on, but yeah, 4.5. Let's just go with
the
that.
music's not as good in Silence of the Lambs. I'll say that.
No. Yeah.
It's way more quotable. That's something I want to get out
Yeah.
there. That's one huge thing about Silence of the Lambs.
It's still a 5 out of me.
It's
I give
almost
5.
too
Yeah.
quotable.
It doubled
that
the
movie.
sales of fava beans
Doctor
within
Lecter.
6 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dr. Lecter.
And Chianti. Anyway, Brooks, what about you? Out of 5 you digs, what do you give it?
I'd give this movie a 4. It's definitely above average. It's a good watch. I would definitely recommend it, especially if you're into like those kind of crime thriller type movies. I think it's probably like one of the best, in that genre. I think it's up there with like, Silence of the Lambs or Seven, something like that.
Absolutely. And predates those films, and kind of like establishes. It's like the prototypical 90s psychological thriller, but more stylish because it's the guy who did fucking Miami Vice. Both of them, the show and the movie.
And the movie.
Shit. Miami Vice is so cool. Even Jim Mafu did a fucking comic book for it. Okay, anyway. For me, I think throughout the rest, all of my adult life, I would have given this a 5. I will be a little bit more honest, though. after the rewatch, you know what? Fuck it, man. 5 you digs for me, man. I love this fucking film, man. I think it's amazing. It's got, I mean, compared to Silence of the Lambs, you know what? That's a 5 you digs too. You know, but like
that's
for different reasons for me. So
like, it's different movies.
Yeah, for sure.
This is everything I fucking love in movies, man. It's like beautiful camera work, amazing color work, fucking a beautiful synth-driven, mesmerizing, encapsulating fucking score. Like, holy shit, 5 you digs for me. I can't give a shit. Like, and so hyped that the fucking porn bots show up.
Hell yeah. What do you give it, porn bot?
What's the strips without clothing thing? Is this like some coffin bound shit?
Yeah, right. Shit, right. Talking about stripping. So a 5 from me, a 4.5 from Verno, Jelani. No, wait. Yeah, Jelani did 4.69. Manny did 4.5. Joe did 4.5. Brooks did a 4.0 for a PCP average of 4.69, dudes.
Nice.
It's always nice to do the bit. We appreciate everybody being here. 2010. What movie y'all talking about? I like the movie 2010, the year we made what?
I saw The Devil, I think, as well.
Oh, okay. Okay. So we do have Dylan in here, and we asked him what he rated. Robbie's on that Master Yoda shit. You know it, bro. That's the brand of weed I smoke. Master Yoda shit.
Yeah.
Really good. Mad Respect gives it 4 out of 5. Dylan gives it 4 out of 5. 62 Lefty Blues gives it 4 out of 5. Dylan says, I absolutely love Manhunter, but I like Silence of the Lambs a little bit more. That's where you fail, young man. Young Padawan is comparing it. Midnight Rider says 3.5 for me. Vigor Drawing says a creamy 4.5.
So creamy. So creamy.
A creamy 5 you digs is another thing altogether. Maybe I should have. So I won't quite go to. I used to say creamy 5.0, but now I'll just say a regular ass 5.0. But anyway. Really good stuff. All right, that concludes our review of Manhunter. We'll be back after this short intermission for a little bit of a PCP back chat. Don't forget, we got March Madness plowing on through. We've already done The Entity. We've now completed Manhunter. And look at that list. And upcoming this Saturday night, we get Dead and Buried on Dylan's Horror Show. I have never seen this movie, so I'm excited to check it out. And next week, here on Monday night, From Beyond, from Stuart Gordon. Super excited. This is a great lineup for PCP and Dylan's Horror Show. DHS, PCP, Monster Madness. Did I say Horror Fest? It is Horror Fest. It's just in March. But
it's March Madness.
Yeah, it's March Madness. Thank you for being here. And do you see? Do you see? Verno, do you see? Jelani, do you see? Manny, Saltine, do you see?
That's good. fights evil and monsters. I don't care, dude. All I can ever hear is the Hellboy song.
Man. That's funny. I wasn't even like realizing that's what I was hearing, but yeah.
He totally like freaking unretired it yesterday. I saw that. I love Hellboy.
I walk around. I had that shit in my head all the time. I don't even know all the fucking words he's saying, but I just found it.
We gotta get a Hellboy merch shirt. That's all I gotta say. Hellboy merch shirt. One of these days we need merch.
I sit back and reminisce fondly on the Hellboy song. You know, takes me back to my youth last year.
Good times, man.
Good year.
Good times. Man, I gotta watch Silence of the Lambs again because I was talking about it so much. I'm like, frick, I love that movie. I gotta watch it tonight if I can find it. But yeah, the Hannibal Lecter set. I mean, you know, Red Dragon's got its problems. A lot of the problems.
I've never seen like all the movies that you guys were talking about, other than Silence of the Lambs. I don't think I've ever seen any of them.
Really?
Hey, I never watched Hannibal Rising. That's the only one I didn't watch.
I've watched all of them.
What are like the key differences between Red Dragon and Manhunter? Is it still
it's the same retelling?
The ending is totally different.
Okay. The ending is different because Francis Dollarhide, like he fakes his death and tries to get away. It's different from Manhunter. But he killed kind of the same, and they make the lady from freaking what was that? She's the from Weeds. Who's the lady that was in Weeds?
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, she's the wife of Ed Norton. Ed Norton is Will Graham.
Oh, Ed Norton's Will Graham.
Yeah, well, Ed Norton's Will Graham.
Sounds like it would be good.
It's Hannibal Lecter. It has a good opening. The opening scene is fucking great. It's like Ed.
I'm gonna watch. Just check it out.
With Hannibal Lecter, and they're working together. It's like it tells the story of what happens in like Manhunter, or like what their understanding was. It shows their meeting. It's the first thing that happens in the movie. I kind of like that.
That's cool.
And I like the scenes that have Hannibal Lecter in it because they put him a lot more in that movie. But it's nowhere near Manhunter. Manhunter is just brilliant. It's nowhere near. Brett Ratner's a hack, and he was canceled on top of being a hack. So he made X3. Fuck that guy. So
yeah.
Did
you guys watch the third season of Hannibal, the television show when they did the Red Dragon part?
I didn't get a chance to. I think it moved to like Peacock or it moved somewhere when it got because it got canceled in the second after the second season, and they were like, "We're gonna bring this back," and I'm like, "Hell yeah, where?" And I was like, I don't know where this is.
They Zoe Extraordinary playlist that shit. They moved it to a fucking platform. You can't finish the damn thing.
Yeah. And it wasn't Peacock. I know it was something else before Peacock.
I actually stole my daughter's TV and moved it into the studio. So I had a Roku TV so I could watch the Roku channel so I could finish Zoe's Extraordinary playlist. And like, I stole that TV, like legit, like it can't go anywhere now. Like I fucking mounted it to the wall. She's stuck with a Chromecast, and she don't have any way to control a Chromecast. You know, I mean, I'm questioning whether or not I should have children right now based on my parenting. Like Zoe's Extraordinary playlist trumped my daughter having the ability to watch fucking Bubble Guppies and shit in her room. Like I don't know.
Shame, dude. For shame. But I'm okay with it. Like I feel like if CPS came in here right now and I'd be like, dude, Zoe's Extraordinary. Skylar, you know how cute that guy? No, we're watching. Anyway. I think it would work. I think it
okay.
Just saying.
Well, welcome to PCP Backchat, everybody. Pop, pop, boom, and all that jazz. Here we are. Yeah, March Madness is fire. Yeah, it sure is, man. Having a lot of fun. Figure Drawing says, I was talking about I Saw the Devil, wholly worthy of a PCP movie night, but yes, Manhunter is a solid 4.5.
Cool.
So, yeah. There you go. I never saw any of the Hannibal stuff, but anyway, this is the show. After the show, we're going to just chat for a little bit before we get into show and tell. Not going to be here for too much longer, but anybody here not seen Batman? I guess, Brooks, have you seen it yet?
No, I haven't yet.
Manny still hasn't seen it. Joe's given his thoughts on Thinking Critical. I watched some of that. And then me, Jelani, and Verno gave our spoiler-filled thoughts over at the Cerebro. So I would definitely encourage everybody to go check that out. I also mentioned I did a spoiler-free review last night on Rockin' Robbie Live, and we did a sort of spoiler video at the beginning of Dylan's horror show on Saturday. But
I noticed that.
Yeah.
That was I was laughing at that.
I
Dylan's
feel
like,
like
we're not going to spoil anything, but
I touched on it, and when I was talking with Wes on Thinking Critical, but like, it's almost unfair to compare it to any of the ones coming out that had come out, because they could go in a weird direction or be better or worse with the next movie or two, and that's going to shape how I feel about it. Ultimately shapes how I feel about a movie like this. Like, I like Batman Begins more because The Dark Knight was that movie. If The Dark Knight was worse, I probably would have,
It's the Force Awakens. Well, you guys might feel differently about it, but I loved the Force Awakens until the other movies came.
Until the other movies
over,
came
and I was like, oh, okay, well,
If-
whatever.
If the other movies,
I love Man of Steel until the other movies came out. I feel you,
Unreal.
dog.
Sure, but yeah, it's like I would love Man of Steel more if the movies after it were better.
weren't hot
But because
trash.
but because they aren't, it makes you like not like that movie as much, because you're kind of like, but where did it go? So it's like, you could, if they do a really hacky, awful job for everything moving forward, because now one of the problems you're walking into with the Batman is they're already talking about, and then there's going to be at least one, if not two, TV spin-offs, and that's going to lead us into the next movie. And it's like, that could be good, or that could like just make it just all terrible. Because you know what I don't want to see is like 10, 20 episodes of like Gordon being like, oh, let me go down to Arkham. Hi, Arkham head psychologist Hugo Strange. Who are these bizarre people we have in this prison who might show up in the next film? It's like, I don't want that. And if that's what happens, it's going to chip away at the Batman, because I'm going to be like, that's what we got from that, was like, that wasn't worth it, So
I have more faith after watching Peacemaker that HBO side of things kind of like I give, I have more faith in them. Especially the 8-episode format.
Well, and I haven't seen Peacemaker yet, but the fact that Peacemaker was done by James Gunn. Yeah.
Right.
And Matt Reeves
James
apparently
Gunn all the way through.
It's still just like,
Matt Reeves will do the Penguin.
Just calm the fuck down sometimes. Just maybe pull it back a little bit, see how this movie plays out. Make a whole movie not dependent on what comes after. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, but Batman does weird things to people. Because I think we all remember after The Dark Knight came out, there was that brief period of time on IMDb, like right after it came out, where they were like, this movie's better than The Godfather. And it was like, what are we doing here? Like, what is happening to all of you? Like, let's calm down. Let's put things in perspective.
Like when people were saying Blair Witch was the Citizen Kane of horror films. And you're like, let's calm down. The Shining exists. So let's just
anyway.
It's okay. It's a great movie. Oh wow!
I thought it was overrated personally.
Oh god!
You know what?
That was scary.
Like,
shit.
I really like that movie. But you know what part of it is? And again, like with any movie, I reserve the right to change how I feel about it in time. But after going through the garbage fan service gauntlet of Marvel movies over and over again, of just movie after movie of like, that's that guy from the other movie. It's like to watch a movie like this that only really did that once. And that was that moment I hated with every fiber of my being. Other than that, I was like, oh my God, it's so refreshing that there's a superhero movie that's
Are you talking about the end of the film?
Movie. No, I'm talking about in Arkham with when the Riddler is talking.
Yeah, at the very, very tail end.
yeah,
no.
No, I thought you meant like the last scene in the movie.
That
But
was
yeah,
that was unnecessary.
Gotcha.
I think that was
that was me and my friend. I saw it with Fish, Buddy Fish, and we were both like, "Ah, fuck this!" Like as soon as that happened. But like everything else, for the most part, like you know, and the bar is low, granted. But
I just want to point out real quick to everybody that Brooks looks like Jesus in the Last Supper painting right now. The way he's just like looking down, melancholy.
Joe, can you lean on his shoulder?
But like, yeah, no, it's just so nice. Like there were like subtle things. Like we got like the Shakespeare bus from Batman 66. Just
a lot of
like
66.
There's a lot of 66, but at no point was it like really beating you over the head with this like stuff in the background. It's like unlike reading a recent fucking Tom King comic where they're like, I'll meet you on, Finger and Sprang Street. Like I hate like,
and then the panel goes Finger and Sprang Street.
Yeah,
and they're meeting. Like, anyway.
Yeah, but like so I really appreciated that there were bizarre choices in that movie that might age more poorly for me after other movies happen that aren't just like, holy cow, you were the Spider-Man in the other movie and you're going to help me with the other Spider-Man and then we're going to fight William Dafoe? Like,
really, man?
No, my
favorite movie last year.
I was fucking miserable during No Way Home. No Way Home for me was like, get me the fuck home is what I was thinking during that.
All right. So Brooks and Manny haven't seen it. That's why Brooks was giving us sad Jesus.
Joker.
But
don't worry, dude. We haven't spoiled anything for you.
We haven't spoiled anything. But I'll tell you this. Yeah. Let's move on. So, Batman.
I've seen it, and I don't even feel like it was spoiled for me. I didn't soak the movie.
No,
in.
I
still have no idea
anything.
What happened. I need to see it again.
I just want to involve everybody in the next bit of conversation before we get to show and tell, right? So, Batman, he's a bat.
He's a man.
Vampires turn to bats. So, I want to know, what's your favorite vampire movie? Putting you on the spot. We're going to start with Brooks, Sad Jesus himself. What's your favorite vampire movie, bro?
Probably Dracula. Like the
like which one?
The Lugosi Universal Dracula.
Took my number one.
Dracula.
Yeah.
It's got some of the best lines, like, rats.
Yeah.
Or, Dracula? I've never even heard of them.
It's like Renfield in that movie.
Yeah. I do not drink. Why?
That's a good one. That's a good answer. Todd Browning, classic. Bela Lugosi, Dwight Frye, Edward Van Sloan. One of my favorite movies. Brooks, well played. What about you, Manny?
Oh, damn, there's so many good ones. I'm gonna go.
You're Wikipediaing shit right now. You're like Googling like.
Well, I just had to look because I wanted to know. I want to make a good choice because I'm looking and I'm like, God, it can't be Hotel Transylvania, but that's the shit I watch nowadays. No, I guess movies that I've seen the most of. Put away the screen. It's gonna be between either Blade or Dusk Till Dawn. I think I've seen those fucking movies like a million gazillion times. I get the draw to like the romantic gothic vampire, but I like a good action flick. So I'm a big fan of Blade. I've probably seen more, so I'm gonna edge it out with Blade.
Yeah. Brother Joe's in the house, says Once Bitten. Part of that trifecta of 80s vampire comedies that I love and adore. I need to own all three of these movies. I don't have them. Once Bitten, My Best Friend's a Vampire. And what's the other one? Vampire's Kiss with Nicolas Cage. Like,
yes.
Those are some good fun fucking movies. Maybe we should do that fucking trilogy for Horror Fest this year, y'all.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can find them easily. Good picks though, Manny. Good picks. What about you, Verno? What do you got?
We talking Dracula specific or just vampires? I guess
vampires.
You asked me before who my favorite Dracula was, and I was like, and I went with Monster Squad. I'm gonna call that a vampire movie just because that's still my favorite Dracula.
I can never remember that man's name.
Watched it a trillion times.
Okay, yeah, it's a good pick. Good pick. What about you, Joe?
I'd have to go with the Dracula Dead and Loving It. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But
you're real quick, by the way. Like, I'm kidding. Like,
I just want to
don't clip me on that shit.
I don't want to get clipped on that. But
it's gonna be on Instagram by the end of the show.
Yeah.
but no, I guess it's super pretentious, but like probably Nosferatu. I like getting cozy, putting on that film, having like a hot cocoa or something like that, and like a
you
nice
talk about
cool
the silent film,
the silent film. Yeah.
How pretentious can you fucking get? I want to go with the first fucking vampire movie. Like what?
Yeah. Well, if I was going more
film,
pretentious, I wish I knew other that I could be like, well, actually, there was this 17-minute Dracula film that was done in 1918.
Well,
I wish I could.
I think Vampire predates it, but I don't want to get into specifics right now. I don't want to be that guy that you were just describing.
Oh.
All right, Nosferatu is actually really good. Like, I know a lot of people don't like to watch silent films, but that is one of that Metropolis and Cabinet of Dr. Caligari must watches for any horror fan. I think 100%. So yeah, Nosferatu's great. Jelani, favorite vampire movie?
I got a few, but my main one, the one I love the most, is Bram Stoker's Dracula. The Francis Ford Coppola with freaking everyone in it. Gary Oldman is the best.
And with Hannibal Lecter in it.
The best. Yeah, he's in it too. It's just gorgeous. I love how Dracula transitions from fog to the bat. I mean, I love that soundtrack. I love Annie Lennox, damn it.
Oh yeah.
It's just, oh my God, that whole movie, music, it's a love story. You know, I love love stories.
That's the one thing I don't like about it.
Yeah, it's a great
I was like,
story.
when did Mina love Dracula? Like, what the fuck was that? Like, I've read that book so many. That's my favorite goddamn book. Like, I've read that book so many times. I used to read that book every year.
I like that tape, man. I just like that tape. And
So
I like that
stupid.
big Bowie knife she cuts his head off with. I love everything about that movie. It's stylized. It's gorgeous.
It's very
He's
novel,
a
accurate.
baby.
It's very novel, accurate to a point. That's what I hated about it. It was like, this is a Dracula movie, finally, like the book. And they throw in this whole like love, eternal, love is forever bullshit. What the fuck? Dracula's a goddamn cockroach, a mosquito. He's trying to suck the life out of you. He's not what the fuck? Gary Oldman's awesome in that movie, by the way. Gary Oldman's awesome.
He's great. And the fact he changes.
And I'll tell you what, man, back in the day, Winona Ryder was one of my biggest crushes in that era when I was growing up. So hell yeah, man. But Keanu Reeves cannot do a British accent.
Not at all.
That was a miscast.
Yep.
Like 100%.
The bloody fuck.
What about what's his name from fucking Princess Bride being Arthur or whatever in the fucking movie? Yeah.
Yeah.
He'd been a better Jonathan. But you got Tom Waits as fucking
Tom
Rainfield
Waits
in that movie.
Renfield.
That's pretty fucking dope.
I think it's well
bits.
cast except for Keanu. To be honest.
Well, Brooks said my number one, which is the 31 Dracula with Bela Lugosi, directed by Todd Browning, which is just as pretentious as saying Nosferatu. But I do want to spotlight two from 1987 that we haven't mentioned yet. One is called The Lost Boys. Love that fucking movie. It's a great vampire movie. I don't give a shit. You haven't seen Lost Boys?
I'm just joking.
Bro.
Bro,
What's wrong with you?
I was gonna say, get the fuck out of here. The other one is Near Dark. Like, everybody who's familiar with this channel knows how much I love that fucking movie, even though it's got the worst goddamn fucking ending. I can't fucking stand the ending of that film, but I forgive it because I love that movie so goddamn much. Fun story. That movie, directed by Catherine Bigelow, Near Dark, had a soundtrack, a score provided by Tangerine Dream. Well, guess who else worked with Tangerine Dream? Michael Mann in a little known movie called The Keep. So very cool. Very cool. Tangerine Dream. Anybody into that makes movies apparently that I really like.
Somehow Kevin Bacon was involved. Cool. All his degrees.
Now all we know is that pretentious is something we like to call each other.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Just because we're like, what, you didn't like Spider-Man? Pretentious much? Yeah, that kind of shit.
I think that was a jab. That was a good old jab.
The keep was good if super clunky. A bit pretentious figure drawing. Anyway. Yeah, how are y'all doing? That wasn't a jab at Joe, if that's what y'all are thinking. No, I mean, no, not at all. Like, honestly, I enjoyed. Now, I remember Joe telling me that amidst all the problems, it was a fun movie. Right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
I am with well, here's the problem. I could end up going like really hard in the paint on something like Spider-Man No Way Home, and then if you're like, what would you give it? 3.5.
I was doing that with Batman last night, and everybody was like, "You're wrong, Robbie." And I'm like, "What? I'm 3.5. This is a good movie. It's fine. I get fun."
It's not the best movie ever. Dark Knight is way better.
Everything's got to be. Everything's got to be the best ever or the worst ever. I fucking hate that shit, man.
No, I hate it too.
Nuance.
No
Some
way.
things are just okay.
No Way Home, despite its flaws, is no fucking Transformers: The Last Night. You know what I mean? Like I can't even make it through that fucking film. Like Transformers: The Last Night. I fucking pushed the down button to see how much longer was in the film, and I audibly said, "Fuck! There's still 30 minutes of this fucking movie." Like, No Way Home never made me feel like that.
But I mean, some of that's like comparing would you rather have to eat something like Taco Bell or sit in traffic for 3 hours? And it's like, those are not comparable situations.
Taco Bell in an instant.
I ate Taco Bell earlier.
So we're clear, Spider-Man's Taco Bell in this?
It could be like, would you rather eat Taco Bell or watch No Way Home? I'd be like, Taco Bell. Yeah, Taco Bell or watch Manhunter? Taco Bell. Taco Bell's the answer for me, bro. I was like, do I get a Baja Blast with it?
Well, they got those boozy
Taco Bell.
Baja Blasts now.
I know. I had one last night. I will never actively seek one out. I'll tell you that. But I didn't mind them. I didn't mind the hard Mountain Dews. But I would never buy them myself.
Like
seek out to drink them.
Is it liquor or what?
Nah, bro. It's like a wine cooler Mountain Dew flavor. That's what it is. It's 5% alcohol, bro. Come on.
And there's no caffeine.
It's like drinking beer.
And there's no caffeine. There's no sugar either. They're all sugar free.
That's like drinking a White Claw.
He was totally shilling for that Mountain Dew.
Oh, bro! If they called me up, I already got the slogan and everything. What was it? I said, hard. I said a hard Mountain Dew. What did I say? What did I say? That's what hard dudes do, or something like that.
Yeah, it was actually pretty good.
Yeah, what was it exactly? God damn.
You recorded it. We can all watch it.
Yeah, it's all on there. I was like, it's hard Mountain Dew. It's what hard dudes do, or some shit like that. I don't know.
Is that what hard dudes do? Huh?
I don't know.
Dewey's
That's
got
a
it.
fucking Cialis commercial at this point.
Anyway. Great discussion. Great discussion tonight. All right, we're about to get into show and tell. But before we get into show and tell, I have a question. I'm going to ask you, and the question I'm going to ask you, I haven't thought of yet, so I'm really stretching right now to try to think of just a random question to ask somebody. And now I've got it, and I want to know, who is your favorite Ninja Turtle villain outside of Shredder?
Whoa.
Who wants to go first?
Bebop.
Nice. Nice. Good pick. Good
yeah.
pick. For me, it's Krang. I'll go Krang. I'll pick Krang. You say, of course? What the fuck's that mean, Brooks, you piece of shit? What the fuck's that mean?
Krang, dude.
Well, what's yours, Brooks?
I like Slash.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Mainly for the aesthetic. I just love the whole twisted turtle with the black bandana.
I always like
Toka too from the second movie.
Toka and Slash are almost the same.
Yeah,
the figure's the same, different colors, different head. But honestly, the figure's the same fucking weapons. I just noticed that a few months ago. Dude. How did I just notice that it's the same fucking figure? God damn it! Every turtle figure is it's like Motu. When I was a kid, I was like, every Motu figure is fucking different. Don't tell me otherwise. It's real to me. God damn it.
It's like
Yeah,
a mace and a twisted sigh.
Damn, he's got goddamn show and tell with it.
Nice.
He's like, look, here's my token.
Damn.
Yeah, I actually did a show and tell like a while back, and I
Hold on, Joe. He's got some.
No,
I'm
I'm going for it.
stuff.
That's nice, man. That's a good one. Do you got a Slash figure?
I do not have. Well, yeah, I do have Slash. Yeah,
Nice.
he's in a box.
What about you, Joe?
I always liked General Trag and the Rock People
Yeah.
and all that stuff. I had the General Trag action figure and all that, and and then like maybe after that it would be like Metalhead. I always appreciated I appreciated the robot villain characters. Same thing with like Metal Sonic, all that stuff. I was really into robots being the doom of us all.
Yeah, that's why you really like the end of Superman 3.
Have you read the IDW stuff?
It's the best.
The IDW stuff, like Metalhead is dark, dude.
Yeah.
Kevin Eastman's coming here to the Huntsville Comic and Pop Culture Expos. If anybody's able to make it out in April, Brooks just fucking found out that he's going to be there. And so is Kevin Eastman, motherfucker. So is Jim Starlin. So we got the co-creator of the TMNT and the creator of Thanos here. So that's going to be super cool.
When in April is that?
It's like April. It's the weekend of April 20. It's always around April 20, like 420. So it's like April 22nd or some shit like that. Yeah.
22nd, 23rd.
It's cool, man. And anybody that's able to make it down to come to the con, me and Jelani have talked about it. And Brooks apparently is way more into karaoke than me and Jelani thought. But Saturday night here in town, we have a karaoke bar called The Station. So it's like perfect. So if anybody's in town, Kevin Eastman's in town. Jim Starlin's in town. PCP will be there. Felisa Rose from Sleepaway Camp's going to be there. There's a bunch of voice actors from anime. There's other people. It's a really great guest list, to be honest with you. But like, I'm fixated on Kevin fucking Eastman. He's doing 5 shows this year. And the dude that runs the con is a friend of mine. And he was like, yeah, dude, he just does 5 shows every year. And he does them regionally. And he picked us for the Southeast. And I was like, that's fucking awesome. So, fuck yeah. Kevin Eastman, man. Yeah. How cool is that? And yeah, me, Jelani, and Brooks will be there at the PCP booth, at the PCP panel. We've been there every year.
Every year.
Every single year. PCP has had a presence at the Huntsville Comic and Pop Culture Expo. Check it out, hsvexpo.com or on Instagram or whatnot. So, time to move on. But what were we talking about? Did everybody say what they were saying?
No, I didn't say it, but
Manny, go ahead. Yeah,
that's okay. Fuck it.
I didn't either. I didn't either.
No,
I did.
I like Winters from TMNT, the film, Patrick Stewart's character.
Bro.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
He's tragic. He's menacing when he has to be. I liked it.
Now we don't want to like tell anybody what our plans are for Action Fest yet, but you have gotten the list and you know what I'm speaking of now, but you got to be there for that.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I'm very excited about that. Action Fest is going to be really good this year, y'all. Really freaking good. All right. Show and tell time. We're going to start off with me. All right. First of all, got a VHS of Manhunter.
Nice.
I found this at a fucking thrift store in Athens, Alabama for 89 cents. And I was like, worth every fucking penny. So I got a Manhunter on VHS. I picked up this NECA Frankenstein figure.
I got one too. Good
Yeah,
times.
very excited to crack that open one day.
That's dope.
They look great. I'll tell you that. Picked up an Astro Train. That's my Blame Fable right there. Had to get an Astro Train. Also, I got my Ultimate Expanse. It's the Wolverine or the X-Men X-Jet turns into a Transformer.
Nice.
I've got that too.
Yeah, why the fuck not, right? A buddy of mine, a kid that works for us, David, made me this. It's Mr. Fantastic. Says, have you read DFI yet, Robbie? Which is Dick Fight Island, which is a staff favorite in my comic shop, no lie. And I see a lot of Howard Chaykin in his work. He's like 18 years old, man. There's a lot of Howard Chayk in there. I did him a Tapeworm Boy original, so he gave me that. Let's see. I picked up a copy of 8-Ball #1.
Nice.
5th printing, but allegedly signed by Daniel Clowes, but I have my suspicions on that, to be honest with you. I picked up a copy of Ice Haven, which is the it's like issue 22, I think, of 8-Ball, but done in a different format. And on a lot of recommendations from people on the channel, I picked up Black Hole by Charles Burns. I've never read this, but I'm really excited. I saw Cartoonist Kayfabe's video on it, and I just immediately loved the artwork and the premise. So really excited to dive into this book. Artwork is super cool and something that I've never read that. So really excited to get into that. Next up for show and tell will be Verno. What you got?
I just grabbed this off the wall because we were talking about Pink Floyd and psychedelics. This is it's on blotter art, so it looks like it's a sheet of acid, but it's not. I swear. So that's dope.
Sure.
Got that at a music festival. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Can you see the blotter
Yeah.
art? There you go. And then I'll show you some hot toys because that's what I got. I got Stormtrooper.
This
Right.
lifestyle you have, man.
Right. It's a lifestyle I had.
Yeah.
It's gone.
Damn.
Boba Fett.
That's so clean. I wish this show was better.
I know, right?
He looks
I didn't
rather
even finish
thin.
it.
He looks
He
very
looks so
thin.
thin. That's
Yeah,
funny.
and young.
Well, yeah, compared to now. And then dun, 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 dun. Nice. Nice
Jeez.
cape. You feel his cape. It's like heavy. It's dope. Boom.
Dadgum, man.
Very nice.
Gracias.
Freaking hot toys, man. Jeez.
Next up for show and tell will be Jelani. What do you got?
Okay. I got a lot because like 2 weeks. This is 2 weeks worth of stuff because we didn't do anything Superman. So I guess I'll start with Superman. That's the McFarlane Superman from the Dark Knight Returns.
I was about to be like, is that a Ronald Reagan figure?
This is a Ronald Reagan figure. He looks just like him. It won't focus and the light's too bright. But there he is. Then I guess I'll go next with we'll carry the Raven. I like this. She's so tiny.
That's been
I
on
like
the
her
shelf
either,
at
right?
Walgreens by my house for like the last month, and I keep debating on grabbing it.
Well, this is the McFarlane version. This is the McFarlane.
Oh,
Yeah. Duh. And also we were talking about, I guess, crazy serial killers. We'll do Joker too.
Nice.
He didn't come with the gun because McFarlane has a no gun policy. I was very mad about that. Luckily, I had a gun that was like
No guns, buddy. No guns,
No
pal.
guns. Yeah, we're not gonna do it. I have the knife in his shoulder because I couldn't put it anywhere else. He had tons of Batman or Batarangs in his
McFarlane's
face.
got a no gun policy now?
Yeah, no
So
guns.
no more commando fucking spawn. Jesus Christ.
Not one. Since we were talking about turtles earlier, I'll bring out my Super 7 Raphael, my favorite Ninja Turtle. Oh yeah, and my favorite villain is Baxter Stockman. Thanks for asking me, Robbie.
Ooh.
Did I miss
Damn.
you? My bad, bro.
But it's all good. It's like 6 of us. But yeah,
Bro, man, I'm
there's-
sorry, man. I've been drinking tonight, man. I'm sorry, man. That's how it works.
Shit. And anyway,
Drinking that hot Mountain Dew. In
That
store
hot-
now.
so hot. It's so creamy and hard.
Wait a second, that's bullshit. Yeah, I got a gunslinger spawn. There's guns on gunslinger spawn.
I know, but he's changed his policy on the DC video.
What since on the DC one? Is that his policy or DC's policy?
No, I don't know. I don't care. I'm mad that I can't get guns now.
I thought it was really weird. I was like, wait,
He
Todd
took all the guns.
McFarlane's anti-gun?
Because he had the Grim Knight, it was the Grim Knight. He has guns. He's got a gun backpack, but they stopped having guns. I don't know why. Like he started that policy like this year or something. So all the figures that are supposed to come with guns don't come with guns anymore. I'm like, God dang it.
Okay.
That totally sucks.
No
'Cause
guns, buddy. No guns.
It was on the Thomas Wayne
My
figure.
dad got a watch.
Jason Todd. Yeah. This was the figure I was going to get you, Robbie, because I got one before and I saw it again. I was like, I'm going to get him this, but I found it and opened it. And then I was
This
like,
is the
crap.
figure I was going to get you, but I got it for myself and opened it.
First, I got it for me first. And then I was like, I need to get Robbie one. I got one and it got stolen. But this is the Transformers Dracula. I'm going to give this one to you. But it comes with a cape. And he transforms into a bat, which was kind of cool. But I don't want to do the transformation because it'll take too long. I also got the same thing Robbie got, which was that American
That's so
Werewolf
sick.
in London. This is the cleanest thing. I bought this like 2 weeks ago. And it's the detail. It's like he looks like a wet dog. He looks like a very wet dog. And the sculpture for it is amazing. And of course, I can't find the other head because I had it a second ago and I've had it like for weeks, but in the same spot. Now I can't find it, but it's all good. But yeah, this thing's fucking awesome. He's with my other like large cats and dogs. And then of course I forgot to bring out Batman on his horse.
That's dope.
Ooh.
That's from all four of
That's
those
pretty
figures together. I mean,
What is that?
this is the Dark Knight Returns McFarlane Batman, and the
Nice.
horse is the Build-A-Figure. So it came with Joker, Robin, and Superman, and you put them all together, and it turns into this badass horse. And I'm like, oh god, I was going to use this horse for other stuff, but like it stands so well. I wish I could tell you, but you put it like it stands up with the tail and the 2 feet perfectly. Like it never falls. It's its own stand. It's so baller. I love this figure. I was mad I saw this. I've only seen this once in the store. And I was just like, I got to have them all.
That's awesome.
I got to get them all. And then we'll go to my Sorceress. I got the Origin Sorceress. That, of course, comes with... God dang it. I don't have the... I have it out already, so I'm just going to show you. This is Castle Grayskull. I got this like last week, and it completes my Origins for now.
Nice. So you got a vintage Castle Grayskull?
Gosh, no, this is Origins.
Wait, you don't have a vintage Castle Grayskull?
I've never had a vintage Castle. Oh, look at you
with Point Dread? Huh. Interesting.
Don't worry, I'm getting there, son. I'm getting there. I also have an Attorney and Goddess, just in case to show you. And I put my accessories on mine. But she's like the original sorceress from what you said yesterday.
Yeah. I'm glad thank you for watching.
Yeah, I do what I can. But that's it. Yeah, that's all I got.
Very cool. That new Grayskull's really dope. It really, really is.
It really is. It's quite baller.
Next up, Manny, show us what you got.
Well, I got this dope Blu-ray of nothing. Apparently, I didn't do the bit right, but the Linguini incident. I think everyone should have this film in their collection. So I got that. I got some whatnot shit that I haven't opened, and I'm not 100% sure exactly what it all is because I have a problem of just impulse buying shit on whatnot. But there's some comics here apparently, and I should have cut these open beforehand. Oh, got some Silver Surfer goodness.
Okay. Everybody uses that same blue fucking tape, man.
I know it. And some Alpha Flight. Like I have no Alpha Flight. So
what?
Like, no Alpha Flight at all. So I was like,
that's some random ass Alpha Flight, bro.
Dude, it was. I don't even remember buying it. So I had to justify it by saying I have no Alpha Flight. I probably do have Alpha Flight. Fuck, I don't know, dude. Sometimes I just get nervous on these things and I just start talking. Fuck. Silver Surfer and Dracula. That's appropriate.
Yeah, I got.
Oh, hey.
Yeah.
And Star Trek. Some looks like some mirror universe.
Some Khan right there, man. Yeah.
Yep. And last,
bro, this is your intervention, man. You're on whatnot way too much,
dude. I absolutely. Power Rangers #1, the 1 in 25. Clear
Nice.
backer board.
Nice.
No. This was the 1 per store, not the 1 in 25. That's the 1 per store. And then, oh, hey, sweet. I didn't even know I got this either. Spider-Man and Nova. I like the cover, and it's got Punisher. And
Oh,
I
is that part of the round robin, bro?
Yes, round robin, the Sidekick's Revenge, part
Bro,
5
that's
of
my
6.
shit, man. Night Thrasher's involved in that shit, bro. Mark Bagley artwork, man.
Oh, dude.
That's my shit right there, man.
I have this really bad habit of sending creators like asks to come on my show, you know. So I'm like, oh, I'm gonna send a message to Mark Bagley, and then I'm gonna go on and say how his artwork sucked in the Pulse. And then like I just sent a message to Michael Marisi, and then like I was like, oh, in Wednesday's video, I pretty much compare the plot to Jumanji. So we'll see how that works out for me.
Don't
They don't
do
watch
that.
it.
Come on.
The important thing is to keep in mind that no one watches any of these things.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
God damn, Joe.
Except I tag them when I put it on Instagram. I picked up the Atlantis Chronicles because I'm fucking becoming really obsessed with fucking Aquaman lately.
Sure.
So I picked up the Atlantis Chronicles, Iceman because it's Iceman, and I liked the pink, which is the one I saw on Whatnot. So I was like, oh, I like the pink. But I ended up buying the whole lot because I have a problem.
It's all right, man.
Heroes in Crisis.
Bro, you got a fucking problem. What is wrong with you?
Dude, so
You have a problem.
this is like $5 for the whole thing. And like
Bro,
I
man,
There's
you,
a
like,
reason that's $5.
that could have been Taco Bell, man.
well,
Are the prices good
I
on
like
Whatnot? I've never been on there. But I
okay,
know it's a big thing.
whatnot can be good and it can be bad. You can because it depends on how many people are in the auction for both the seller and the buyer. Because if you go into an auction, there's only like 5 people in there. If you start shit at $1, you're only going to get $5. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't bid up that well if there's not enough people in your auction. But then if there's the wrong people in your auction, like sometimes the action figure guys like me jump into the comic book stuff, and they just start randomly buying shit like Heroes in Crisis. And
yeah,
and
somebody
then
was like,
it
thank
goes up
God I got
artificially.
$5 for Heroes in Crisis.
Yeah. Dude. I don't know. Clayman's a good artist, right?
I really like Clayman's art.
Tom King. I'm gonna like the first 3 or fucking 4 issues of this, and then it's gonna overstay its welcome. I mean, there's some. No, yeah, probably not. Mr. Art,
Bro, I'm sorry, man. I love you, Manny, man, but bro, you got ripped on that one, man.
Oh, so yeah, so those are my.
I would have given you that shit, man. I would just been like, please take them.
Well, they're high
Take my
grade.
Heroes
If
in
I
Crisis,
make enough
please.
videos, I mean, there's no spine ticks. If I make enough videos, I can fucking inflate the spec market on it. And before you know it, yeah, Harley Booster Gold's coming to the MCDCU right there. Guys,
Yeah.
this is gonna be fun. This is gonna be a hot book. I think you guys should jump on it. These are my top 3 books to invest in for under $25 this week. Be sure you check these out. Fucking, I don't know. I'm bad at spec.
Is that what you got?
That's what I got, I guess.
Okay, Joe disappeared. But
I'm here.
looks like he's back.
He's grabbing his Heroes in Crisis.
I had to grab all my
He's like,
my
I'll sell you
worthless
these for
comics.
$350.
Yeah.
All right, Joe, what you got?
Hey, well, a few things here. I'm finally going to be diving into Chainsaw Man. Now that it's like you can buy it, because you couldn't buy it for like a year.
Exactly.
That was
yes.
crazy. But so I'm excited to jump into that. Talking about Superman, what was it, last week? I ended up going to a couple of shops over the weekend, and there were some trades there that fill in those gaps between like Superman, the Exile, and other stories, and the Death and Return of Superman, and the Wedding. Like, DC is horrible at collecting that era of Superman. But so I was able to grab the Revenge Squad trade, which takes place before and after the Wedding, because I guess the people that were mapping these books then just hate everyone. And then I picked up the Power Within trade, which collects all of the Kurt Swan 2-pagers from Action Comics Weekly,
Oh, very
and
cool.
and the Bill Loeb's 3-part Superman story he did. So I'm excited to jump into those. And I figured I got a bunch of my sketch covers I've had done here, so I thought I'd show off some of those. This one's pretty relevant. For now, it's Batman fighting the Riddler, and Tim Seeley drew this for me, and I got Scott to sign it.
Very cool.
So that was a cool one. I got my buddy Sean Von Gorman years ago during Avengers versus X-Men. Remember that dog shit event that happened years ago? I
still sell like 2 trades a week at my comic shop, man. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it sucked, but I got him to draw Jarvis fighting Dupe.
Bruh, that's awesome.
Nice.
So
That's
got
so
that.
awesome.
Thank you. I got Jim Salacrup to draw a drunk Iron Man for me.
I'm as sober as Wolverine.
So that was a fun one.
Do you remember him in Twisted Toy Fair Theater where Iron Man would always be drunk and puking in his helmet and shit? That's great.
I got this. This is Ramona Fradden Supergirl.
Oh, that's nice.
Do that for me. Yeah, no, that was a good one. I got a Jill Thompson Dazzler, and
oh
Bendis.
my god,
That was gorgeous.
Got that, and Bendis signed it, and I got Bendis.
You got Jill Thompson, and you get Dazzler.
Yeah,
bro.
I have a Delirium from her as well.
Okay,
So,
then okay, makes sense.
But yeah, and then I got this Bob Wycheck Nightcrawler.
Nice.
Oh,
That
that
is
does
awesome.
look good. Yeah.
Got that. And then I got this Jerry Ordway Superboy.
Super cool.
And then
It's like
and
a
the
old
last
man,
one
though.
here,
Yeah. That
I
was
got
good.
A little bonus bulge.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
And then I got Sean Von Gorman again to do the Invaders Zim.
Oh, that's cool.
That was
I
dope.
like that.
That's really
God.
fucking cool, man.
Awesome.
Thank you. So yeah, that was
That's
Nice.
some really
awesome.
good stuff there, man.
Oh yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, really good stuff there. All right, Brooks, you're wrapping it up. Show and tell. Show us what you got.
I'm surprised I don't have very much today, but I found the throne for my king.
Nice.
So he
Nice.
finally has the respect he deserves.
Everybody needs to check out our Comics Revisited on Akira because it was awesome, was it not,
Yeah,
Brooks?
man, we talked about it.
Was it not, Manny? You
It
were
was
there.
amazing.
Mm.
It was amazing.
Manny somehow lucked out and just read digital copies of the colored version.
Oh, dude.
Oh wow.
Oh, yeah.
So I found this the other day at Walmart for pretty cheap, which is funny because this has been like, I've seen it like several times and like I haven't picked it up. All I had to do was see this little silver and black cardboard cover. And I was like, oh,
You got the
dude.
slip.
The slip.
Got the slip. Those are the only Ghostbuster movies you ever need.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I
Oh,
haven't
man.
seen the
Afterlife.
New one.
I haven't seen Afterlife, and I haven't seen the
Chick one.
the 2000.
I'll be honest with you, man. You'll probably like both of them.
2016?
I'll be honest with you. You'll probably like both of them, man.
Afterlife's not horrible.
I don't
It's
like
not
either of them.
horrible.
My girlfriend loved the female one.
Dude,
the
my-
fucking
I fell
2016 one.
It was
Yeah.
Berno, that's what we call it. It's not the chick one.
You know what it is.
I don't know, man. I'm kind of like curious to see it, just like because like I bet it's not that bad.
It is really
It's
bad.
pretty
bro.
bad, dude.
It's pretty
Yeah.
fucking.
There's a dance number. It's bad, dude.
Brooks, let me tell you something. I wanted this movie to be so good just so that like I could be like, yeah, shut the fuck up, Twitter, right? But no, this
Twitter's
movie
right.
is not good, man.
Twitter's right.
Mm.
Jesus.
I was pulling for it, man. I was pulling
Nah,
for it,
I
bro.
wouldn't. I
Yeah,
saw the
I was
trailers.
hoping it would be good too, just because like the people who hated it were so annoying about it.
I know, man. That's what I'm saying.
It's like, just like
People like
shut the
Delaney.
fuck up, dude.
Yeah,
I
that's
hated
what
it
fucking
before it
sucked,
even
man.
dropped.
The trailer was garbage, man. Just like BBS.
Yeah, well, Wolverine Origins, X-Men Origins Wolverine had a dope ass trailer. So what do you got to say?
I saw that bootleg first, and I hated it. And then I saw it in the theater, and I was like, I hate it more.
Hey, Brooks, what else you got?
Save the best for last. I picked this up at the shop the other day.
Bro, you know it.
Yeah, bro.
Nice.
The King.
And I've read it, and like it's really good. It's like the dude. I love the way the dude draws Jack Kirby as this very kind of like diminutive guy.
Yeah.
With these huge expressive eyes.
Dude, I think I'm about to get you on a lot of Tom Scioli shit, man. You should check out Godland next. You'll really like it.
Like after reading this, I kind of understand why Robbie's been so sour on Stan Lee all these years. Like, dude,
This screwed that man over.
Yeah.
It's like Kirby's been like, he's responsible for so many, like, you know, characters, and he hardly got shit from it, you know. It's sad, like, you know, that's a guy that's like, he's basically like, he started the, like, you know, the big comic book craze, like, you know, his style was so influential, and yet, you know, he didn't even get like a fraction of his due for it.
He's like the Stan Lee of comics.
Yeah. Shut the fuck up. But,
that's weird. I feel like we could talk for hours on just that. So
yeah,
we will one day.
It's really messed up.
We'll unpack that discussion. I'm really happy that you like that, Brooks, because I was really pushing it on him this last week, and I'm glad you liked it.
Discount too, because it had a little damage on the spine.
Yeah, just a little damage. Who gives a fuck, right?
Yeah.
Tom Scioli's a really cool artist. I really would highly recommend his Godland series to you. He did, I think, was that Joe Casey?
yeah, I talked to Joe Casey about that. And,
That's right. Yeah.
He spoke briefly about, because we were talking about like Tom's like this like whole like YouTube personality now, and Joe Casey like made some sort of comment along those lines about like, yeah, no, it's been Tom's had a big transformation since I was working with them and stuff like that. And I did not pry beyond that, but I might have to at some point.
You need to do a comics revisit on Automatic Kafka, dude.
Bruh, I love that book. I sold mine so long ago because my girlfriend thought they were dirty. What? You still have yours? Mine. Nice. I need to find them. They're in the dollar bin somewhere. There was a moment where it like spiked up in spec for some reason. But anyway, big Joe Casey fan here, Joe. 100%. Like, nice. Love his work so fucking much. His Deathlock series. I still like talk about that book. I fucking love it. Anyway, with Leo Manco. Anyway, that was the show. So final thoughts, Verno, what you got?
Yeah, good times, man. Go check out the Cerebros. We're doing stuff over there. That's what I got, bro.
Yeah, nice. Delaney, final thoughts.
Glad to be here. Do you see what I'm becoming? Do you see? That's it.
All right. What about you, Manny?
Wednesday, I'm talking about The Plot. Saturday, I'm talking about Coming of Rage. But more importantly, on Friday, Robbie and I are going to be talking with Ron V, David Boer, Eric Burnham, and it's going to be freaking awesome. We're going to be talking about like dealing with existing characters, existing worlds, and how that affects our creative process. So David's doing all new Firefly and Rain, which are existing properties that he's adapting. Eric Burnham has adapted fucking everything under the sun. Yeah. And of course Rom's Catwoman, Aquaman, Swamp Thing. So it's going to be a good discussion.
I'm going to try real hard not to like talk about how much I'm tired of Firefly during that show, by the way, because I really like David's work. Yeah, like I really do.
I know. I was like, I really like Rain, and I said that like on the day Firefly came out, and I was like,
Rain, Kanto, Killer Queens. I love those fucking books, but Firefly,
it was a fun enough read. No, I like cool, I like Captain Kaylee. I think that she does a good. I like that aspect.
Well, that's even more interesting because like, well, maybe we're getting a little bit too behind the scenes, but maybe we should be like, what's it like to really try to expand on something that was so little? You know what I'm saying? Like Swamp Thing, Transformers, there's so much of that out there, but Firefly, there's not a lot, right? And there's a lot of expectation from those fans that read Firefly books every fucking week. And it's one of our best-selling titles in my comic shop, man. It really is. So, dude, people here in Huntsville, Alabama fucking love Firefly, bro. It's like, and I'm like, where the fuck were you? Because me, Jelani, and Brooks were trying to watch this shit live when
we were watching it live Friday nights, man. And
nobody gave a shit.
Out of order, and I was sick.
We were there.
Yeah.
I was late to the party.
I miss Christina Hendricks, man. I miss Christina Hendricks.
I think I got the DVD set. That's when I jumped on. So that was a while after.
Great show.
Yeah, you got some exciting things coming up, Manny.
Yeah. I'm pretty excited for the relaunch at Tomorrow Cinema. I'm nervous to get back on the horse, but I'm excited.
62 says, what time is that on Friday on whose channel? It's on Tomorrow Cinema.
Yep. And it's at noon Central Time.
Noon. Oh, bro, man. Yeah, I'll be there. Yeah, I'm ready. I'm gonna be eating a breakfast burrito though. I'm gonna come in there like who gives a fuck that Ron B's here? Because last time I was like really gushing like a fucking nerd, dude. Had like a nerdgasm. I was just like, Ron, you're just fucking awesome. Why do you write good? Like it was just like ridiculous. Joe, final thoughts.
Not much. This was fun. I'd do it again.
Oh yeah.
No, but yeah, no, I'm just plugging away on stuff that I still can't announce. That stuff should be announced soon. I did record another retrospective of a different issue of Superman's girlfriend Lois Lane with Perch that'll be up in the next week or so.
Nice.
It's a good one. It makes no sense and is just bonkers because that's what Superman's girlfriend Lois Lane is. And it's
not the one where she turns black though, right?
No,
we didn't do
that one.
Okay.
I've read a few weeks or a month ago or whatever, we did the one where she marries Satan. But this is a different one.
Of course.
But
we have a shit ton of those issues at my shop. I should see if we have those, and I should check them out myself.
Some of them, they're just nuts because it's always something where it's like Lois and Lana are trying to come up with different insane situations and to be well, I'm gonna go get this magical stone that will hypnotize Superman and make him propose to me, and that's like every other issue of that book. And it's just insane.
If any of us here had the chance to find a magic stone that would make Superman propose to us, I think we would all jump on that fucking train. Let's be honest.
For
and
sure.
We'd be like, can you hear my thoughts? You know what I'm thinking?
Yes, I can.
But yes, I got that. I don't know. I'm just writing. I finished panel breakdowns for a script earlier today. I hope that book gets announced soon. I'm going to be in LA for a few days, but that doesn't really affect anyone here. I'm going to get lunch with Jeff Thorne over the weekend. It's going to be nice.
Super cool.
I told Jeff, I'm going to be in town, and his DM back to me was lunch. And I was like, all right.
I love it. Tell him I said station.
I absolutely will. I'm going to see Peppus while I'm out there too. He's a good guy, and I was friends with him before he got Savage Avengers. So that's gonna be my story. It's like I knew him back when he was doing Spencer and Locke.
Me too, man. That's when I like. He was like, I went to Heroes Con and he recognized me from YouTube and shit, and I was like, bro, yeah, man, it was awesome. It was the same weekend I met Liana. Actually, it was the same weekend, so that was a super cool, fun time. I'm excited to go to Heroes Con this year. John Romita Jr. is going to be there. Tom DeFalco. Those are there's other people. Chris Pachalo. It's a great. Joe, are you going to be at Heroes Con? You should.
I want to go. I should just go because I haven't gone yet. And there's so many people I want to see down there. It's a big show. Richard Case is always there. I love Richard. That's his close to home-ish show that he does every year. Like that in Baltimore, I think he does all every year. And and he is just a great chill guy. I gotta try to do that. I'm definitely gonna do New York, Baltimore. I think I'm doing C2E2 this year.
Nice.
So
Super
I put in for the pro badge. It's like over the sun because FlameCon this year conflicts with Emerald City, and I already have a FlameCon table because it got canceled the 2 years in a row. And I'm like, well, I got to do FlameCon. I have the table already, but yeah.
Yeah. You should come to Heroes, man. I'll be there.
Yeah.
It'd be fun. Super fun. Super
It'll be
fun. Hell yeah. Brooks, final thoughts?
I'll just leave everybody with some solid advice. Never trust a man with a stocking on his head, because he just might be a serial killer.
That's true.
Very true.
That's fair.
Very true.
Yeah.
And I'm going to wrap it up by saying, first of all, thank you for being here. Join us next week for From Beyond. But before that, Dead and Buried. And yes, we are now well on the way into March Madness. Super excited for it. My final thoughts, I'll quote the film. As a child, my heart bleeds for him. Someone took a little boy, turned him into a monster. But as an adult, he's irredeemable. He butchers whole families to fulfill some sick fantasy. As an adult, I think someone should blow the sick fuck out of his socks.